Oh no! All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to the Nick Ghost Rider broadcast. I'm Ghost. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, how's everybody doing? Hi, Derry. Welcome in. Hi, Kiko. Welcome in. How's everybody doing? Sorry I didn't go live yesterday. I realized after I ended stream on Monday that last night was the fucking VP debate. So sorry I didn't go live for it, but I literally got back from work as the debate ended. So it's what happens when I work 36 holes. You're speaking so fast. Yeah, because I'm excited to see everybody. And I want to get this VP debate react over with because I'm not looking forward to it. I'm kind of annoyed by it. Also, my hair is getting out of control. I need to fix this. My hair is way too fucking long. I literally did 2 surgeries on myself while watching Twitch. What? Why are you doing surgery on yourself? You shouldn't do that. So anyway, I worked 36 holes yesterday. I worked 18. They're black sweatpants. They're black sweatpants. They're black. They're black. I had to remove some annoying things on my body. I don't know what that means. Also, nice shirt. Love it. Thanks. I thought the shirt was appropriate for, don't stand up like that. I looked away. Oh, that sucks. I thought the shirt was appropriate for the VP. For the VP debate. Anyway. All right. I guess we're going to do the thing. So I got my new PCI adapter for USB-C. Both VPs kept looking directly in the camera. That's what you're fucking supposed to do, Kiko. That's why Kamala's speaking in the other debate was good, because she was speaking directly into the camera. And Trump was just fucking looking down because he's I don't know, he's weird. He's probably on the spectrum. No, but like dead into our soul. Well, we're going to find out in a second. We're going to watch all of the fucking debate. We're going to fucking do this. I'm ready to get my soul fucking ripped out from me. We're going to do this. I don't really want to pause it and shit. I kind of want to treat it like as if I was watching it live, but I'm probably going to end up pausing it. What else can I tell you? Oh, yeah. So I successfully installed my PCI USB-C adapter that SCAL had recommended for me. And it didn't need drivers or anything, so that was cool. The only thing is the PCI riser cable is like up against the fan. It's not like touching the fan. It's like, so the fan's right here. So the fan's right here, and the cable is like right outside the fan. So I'm hoping that's not a problem, but whatever. So hopefully the PC doesn't break while I'm streaming. Anyway, yeah, we'll bring it up. How about an animal shelter that puts down animals? It's called Pause Life. You're not really pausing the life though. Also, Kiko's working on his stage stuff. Chat, also watch my latest video. Watch my latest video. Get it into the algorithm. Manufactured Panic. Bad faith talking points. Talking about trans athletes and shit. Which I just realized I didn't put it into the Hassan self promo yet. Now, this is actually usually where I get a bunch of my views. Is putting in the self promo in Hassan. Anyway, yeah, let's bring the debate up. Let's fucking do this. Let's get this shit over with. Like pulling teeth. All right. So for those lucky enough to not be to not have the brain rot of American politics, there was a vice presidential debate last night between JD Jebediah Vance and Tim Jebediah Walz. I have not seen shit. I've seen like little headlines, little quick tweets. I have not watched any video on this. I know a couple things, but I'm going into this relatively clean. JD Hussein Vance. Yes, that's what we're going to do. JD Hussein Vance. It was nice to see that JD took enough time to get away from the couch to show up for this debate. I know he fucking cries about getting fact checked, which I have a joke ready to go for that. So, yeah. All right, chat. Are y'all ready for the brain rot that is this fucking clown show that is JD Vance? Oh, actually, this one's better. This one's better. It's shorter. It's shorter. Bam. Done. Okay, so most importantly, I probably didn't have to pin the video, but it's kind of force a habit at this point. Anyway, so let's watch the debate. I'm watching it on CBS News because CBS is who put it on last night. With Margaret Brennan and something O'Donnell. Can't remember her name. Nora O'Donnell. I like Nora O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell. No, Nora O'Donnell. Margaret Brennan. Nora O'Donnell is usually pretty decent. Margaret Brennan could do better. But Nora Hussein O'Donnell. Is that just the joke the rest of the way, Kiko? All right, anyway. All right, I've stalled long enough. Let's fucking do this. All right, let's go. I'm gonna need to take the background music off. Let's fucking get into it. Yeah, we'll be doing that a few more times. Great.
Tonight, with just over a month to go until Election Day, the first and only meeting between the two men who hope to become Vice President of the United States, Democratic Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota and Republican Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio.
Now, this is likely the final debate of this election cycle, and voting is already underway in 20.
All right, we're pausing already. Why is this the last debate? I don't understand. Why is this the last one? Why is this the last one? Is there something going on? Is there something going on that there's not another debate? Isn't there one scheduled, or is one candidate a fucking coward? I don't know.
States. CBS News polling shows this remains a race either presidential candidate could win. The CBS News vice presidential debate.
Crazy this race is even close.
Starts now.
Fight for every single vote, and we're going to take this country back.
And we are ready to continue to build the future together.
We're going to turn this whole country red with President Donald J. Trump's leadership.
You know, it's at the end of this little journey.
Yeah, they're going to turn it red with bloodshed. Because that's what fascists do
Kamala
in a video game.
Harris as the next president of the United States.
This is a CBS News special, live from CBS News headquarters.
All right,
in
chat,
New
we
York.
ready?
America decides.
Everybody got their popcorn?
Vice presidential debate.
Everybody ready for this shit
Good
show?
evening, I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for joining us for tonight's CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. We want to welcome our viewers on CBS, on other networks here in the U.S. and around the world. We have a consequential night ahead, and our focus is
No,
the
it's not.
issues
Nobody
that
gives a
matter
shit.
to you, the voter.
What's up, Manu?
Let's introduce the candidates. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Ohio's Republican Senator J.D. Vance tonight.
Dude, his smile is so
for the
fake.
first
His
time.
smile is worse than fucking DeSantis.
I'm Margaret Brennan.
Oh, they
In
shook
order to
hands.
have a thoughtful and civil debate. These
Wow,
are the
that was
rules
organized.
that both campaigns have agreed to. Questions will be directed at one candidate who will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for rebuttal. Then each candidate will get another minute to make further points, with an additional 1 minute each at the discretion of the moderator. The primary role of the moderators is to facilitate the debate between the candidates, enforce the rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity to fact-check claims made by each other.
CBS News reserves the right to mute the candidates' microphones to maintain decorum. We have not shared the questions or topics with the campaigns. The stage is set. Governor, Senator, thank you for joining us.
Your job as a moderator is to fucking fact check the candidates. That's your job, is to hold the candidates to account. Do your fucking job.
Let's get started. Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Helene. And now a labor strike as 25,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas are picketing.
Solidarity, brothers.
With the Middle East. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora. Earlier today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Israel, but that attack failed, thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed
wait a minute. I didn't see a lot of this shit, but to call that a failure is kind of crazy, considering that the Iron Dome fucking rockets and shit were like barely hitting anything at all. To say that it was a failure, kind of crazy, kind of insane. Unless these bloodthirsty assholes only believe success is murdering a fuck ton of civilians, then it was a failure. Maybe Iran didn't want to murder a fuck ton of innocent civilians. Maybe they actually, kind of did the right thing and avoided civilian casualties. Who the fuck knows?
U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to try to prevent a regional war. Iran is weakened, but the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1
blood of flesh
to
wound.
2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice...
If only there was a president that didn't fucking nix the deal that prevented the development of nuclear weapons.
Preemptive strike by Israel on Iran.
What?
You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank
Wait,
you for those joining at home
What?
tonight.
The first question is, are we going to allow a
Governor
preemptive
Walz,
strike in
If
Iran?
you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And
Dude, this is a fucking psychotic answer. This is psychotic. So literally every single time there has been any aggression from Israel, it has been preemptive because the other side is planning to attack. Dude, it's not fucking preemptive. There's no such thing as a preemptive fucking attack. It's a straight up attack. Like, there's no preemptive defense or whatever fucking Israel uses as an excuse like they did in 1967 and they've done this entire fucking past year. That's crazy to think that, oh yeah, it's okay to launch a fucking attack on an actual known nuclear power. What the fuck are, oh my God, this media is so fucking bloodthirsty and wants World War III so bad. Oh my God, it just drives me fucking crazy.
thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners.
It's 1,200, fact check them.
Iran,
It was 1,200.
Israel's ability to be able To defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack.
You say
But what's
expanding Israel and its
fundamental here
proxies?
is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that. It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he's ever met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris
that is true.
We've seen steady leadership.
That's facts.
We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our allies matter. When our allies see Donald Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea, when we start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the Vice President said today we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be
Sir, it's not North Korea, it's
Governor,
People's Republic of Korea.
Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one.
Answer the question. What do you mean Americans don't know who you are? They've been plastered all over your fucking TV for months.
My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps. And
so you're a welfare queen?
So I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams.
Wait, so literally your entire career is based off government funding? You're a welfare queen?
That the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again.
It won't be.
To answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out.
What are you talking about? I literally made money on the stock market because he created so much fucking chaos. And I'm a dumbass. I literally made money off the chaos.
What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially,
Tim is like Grover from Sesame Street
as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line,
what are you talking about? Fearing the United States brings peace?
In the world.
The only people that rule in fear are fucking fascists.
Look, it is up to Israel what they think.
It is way cheaper to give people food and shelter than to fucking continue to bomb them. It's way cheaper to take care of other people in other countries than to just keep fucking bombing them.
Walz, do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, look, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before.
Also, talk about the Abraham Accords and moving the fucking embassy to Jerusalem.
In international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries,
this is a good one.
Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did exit that deal. He recently said, just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just
This
said
is only
Iran
fans
as
for my
close
couch.
to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Walz, you
The problem, see, the thing is, Kiko, was that couch consenting? I don't think the couch was consenting. That's what I think. I think the couch wasn't consenting. I don't think he had sex with the couch. I think he sexually assaulted the couch. I don't think the couch was consenting because the couch can't consent.
you blame Donald Trump, who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years, and the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about what the sequence of events that led us to where we are right now, and you can't ignore October the 7th, which I appreciate.
Tim Walz
bringing up.
talk about North Korea launching missiles over the top of Japan.
Attack Israel. It was during the administration of Kamala Harris.
Wait, I missed the beginning. Did he really bring a couch? No, he didn't bring a couch. Imagine having to debate that in a court of law. That would be fucking hilarious.
So Governor Walz can criticize Donald Trump's tweets, but effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home,
What are you talking about? He literally dropped the mother of all bombs and bragged about it. He assassinated an Iranian general in a different fucking country. North Korea continued to launch nuclear missile testing over the top of Japan. He literally escalated everything. He literally laid the groundwork for Putin to invade Ukraine. He literally laid the groundwork for Israel to completely start the genocide that has been perpetrated in the last 12 months. Oh God, we're getting gaslit to think that Trump is a fucking dove.
When was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to.
What?
Nora?
We were in Afghanistan. We were in Afghanistan. That is a major conflict. We were in Afghanistan. What the fuck? We were in Afghanistan. We were in Afghanistan. He literally tried to fucking coup Venezuela and sent a random bunch of goons that got caught by Venezuelan fucking fishermen. What did I join to? You joined to a vice presidential debate react. That's what you joined. God damn.
Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing. Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes.
Damn, sounds like chaos. Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to this, Tyler. Also, Tyler, I was kidding about Trump being cool.
Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change. Senator, what responsibility would the Trump administration have to try
fracking,
and
baby,
reduce
drill, baby,
of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure. So first of all, let's start with the hurricane because it's an unbelievable, unspeakable human tragedy. I just saw today actually a photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph ever taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives.
Kiko, we can say conservative jokes in the chat because I'm pretty sure they're gonna find out very quickly that I fucking hate conservatives. I also hate liberals too, but it's tough to tell if I hate liberals more than conservatives. The answer is I probably hate liberals more. You need to look at it less like a debate, more like a stand-up comedy. Okay, can we all just appreciate how amazing the anchor with the blue blazer looks? Yeah, Norah O'Donnell always looks good.
and saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them, and we want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save
Wait,
as many
you
lives
don't
as
like big
possible, and
government?
of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that
Under your plans, you would reduce the resources for federal help for these disasters. So how can you say we want as much federal help as possible?
When Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster. Now, Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed, some of our
we want it to be cleaner and safer, but we're going to get rid of the EPA.
Concern about carbon emissions, this idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true.
It does. It increases the temperatures, which increases the evaporation.
Well, if you believe that, what would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world.
That's not true at all.
Policies actually led to
That's not true
more
at
energy
all.
production in China, more manufacturing overseas.
France has literally almost 100% nuclear power. Norway has 100% clean energy. They have nuclear power and fucking hydroelectric power.
Output. So if we actually care about getting cleaner air and cleaner water, the best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
Governor Walz, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, we got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all, it is a horrific tragedy with this.
Answer your question, Tyler. Gonna stream, but way too tired for that. How y'all been doing? I had work all day yesterday, which is why I didn't react to the debate yesterday, and I'm reacting to it now, and my mind is melting. I haven't been looking forward to this all day. Busy streaming in 2 days. It doesn't. Science is fake. True. It's a hoax. True. I have school too, so yeah, I understand. Yep. I'm done with school. Thank God. 7 years. Hi, Jake. I didn't watch the debate. I forgot about it last night. I forgot about it, but I knew it was happening, and I worked all day yesterday, so I didn't get to react live.
Hurricane, and my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of Governors as we work together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together so all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end. The federal government comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover, but we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused. Now, look, coming back to the climate change issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything we've seen. Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment. We've seen massive investments, the biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Reduction Act, has created jobs all across the country.
Yeah, it's because you haven't, that's because people haven't done anything for the last fucking decade.
Technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country. The largest solar manufacturing plant in North America sits in Minnesota. But my farmers know climate change is real. They've seen 500-year droughts, 500-year floods back to back. But what they're doing is adapting, and this has allowed them to tell me, look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind.
Chat, 500-year and 100-year droughts and floods is statistically speaking, it's not like an actual number.
More clean energy. So the solution for us is to continue to move forward, that climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice.
I hate how these people tell lies half the time. Like, what the fuck? If you're going to tell people things, make them truthful. But I haven't paid much attention to this stuff, so maybe I'm wrong. Well, you're claiming that literally all the politicians tell lies, but like half the politicians lie 95% of the time. The other half of the politicians lie 40% of the time. The fact of the matter is most of them suck and don't give a shit about working class people like ourselves, which is why I'm here. So that I can maybe teach people the actual talking points and actually hold politicians to account and call their politicians up and say, hey, I don't like what you're doing. You need to change this or I'm not going to vote for you. Or maybe form coalitions that, you know, increase the number of voters that aren't going to vote for people. I'm not yelling at you, Tyler, by the way. I'm sorry if it came off like that. I'm just very pissed off. Because I hate this guy on the left. Absolutely hate this guy on the left. With a passion.
You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the
Purely
country.
Tim
That's
Walz is
exactly
kissing
what
you.
this administration has done. We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower for the future, not just the current. And that's what absolutely makes sense. And then we start thinking about how do we mitigate these disasters.
Thank you. Senator, I want to give you an opportunity to respond there. The governor mentioned that President Trump has called climate change a hoax. Do you agree?
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular Kamala Harris and her leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing.
Why?
So clearly, Harris.
Okay. Let's break down this argument. By the way, the picture I put up on my IG today is a monument to unions. Made me so sad to be standing there to read what they believe and to know what is going on in the country. Yeah. All right, let's break down this fucking argument. He believes that bringing manufacturing back into the United States will actually reduce the carbon emissions. His argument is that the United States energy grid and energy production industry is cleaner than everywhere else in the world, which isn't true. Because as I spoke earlier, Norway is 100% hydroelectric. France is like almost 100% nuclear, I believe. Okay, also imagine Tim Walz in this pause frame as a silhouette and tell me he doesn't look like Alfred Hitchcock. Kiko, I'm cooking. So he wants to bring manufacturing back to the United States, thinking that the energy production within the United States is cleaner than everywhere else in the world. This is how he's going to fight CO2 emissions. Except if you bring manufacturing back to the United States, there's still going to be a lot of CO2 emissions unless you change the power energy production to renewable energy, such as solar panels and hydroelectric power or windmills. This is fucking insane. Also, I hate to defend Joe Biden, but he's literally brought more manufacturing back to the United States. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Am I crazy or did I hear that correct? Yes, they are fucking 100% gaslighting you. Not just that, you need to lower the amount of plastics we use and better the coatings. Yeah, what the? Oh my God. Dude, this fucking talking point is so goddamn stupid. Okay, I think my next video, I'm going to do that.
Herself doesn't believe.
I might make a YouTube short about fucking this talking point because, like, you could debunk it in like 2 seconds.
Leave her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's energy policies. Now, something Governor Walz said I think is important to touch upon, because when we talk about clean energy, I think that's a slogan that often the Democrats will use here. And I'm talking, of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China.
Chat. I lied to you. I am so sorry. I fucking lied to you. It was 96%. Norway is producing its electricity through hydropower. 96% of its fucking electricity comes from renewable hydropower. 96 fucking percent. I'm sorry I rounded up to 100%. God, it's so easy to fucking debunk all these assholes. France derives 70. Confirm my choice. France derives 70% of its electricity from nuclear energy due to long-standing policy based on energy security. God fucking damn it. Wow, can't trust you anymore, Ghost. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, Jake. If we can't trust Ghost, who can we trust? Exactly. Yes, Tyler, that's my YouTube channel. I do talk about this stuff on my YouTube channel. Check it out. Check out my latest video on 4% is so significant. Yeah. Reported. Fuck you guys. Ban. Anyway, check out my latest video talking about bad faith talking points, trans athletes in sports, and how they're trying to fucking gaslight you and you're thinking bigoted things. When in reality, there's like no facts based on their stuff. Was a good video. Yeah, I thought it was one of my better. Holy shit, they think America is best, really? I'm hearing this right? Or am I crazy? Yeah, no, you're correct, Tyler. Well, Welcome to the Net Ghost Rider broadcast. Welcome in. I hope you can learn some stuff from me.
Number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China, especially the components that go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner, you've got to invest in more energy production. We haven't built a nuclear facility, I think, one in the past 4 years.
Whoa. He's actually getting ahead of them. He's getting ahead of them, saying we need to build more nuclear power plants. Holy shit. That is bad. The Democrats fucking fumbled the ball on this. They should have been pushing for fucking nuclear power for a long time now. And to hear a Republican candidate advocate for producing more electricity via nuclear power, that is crazy. Dude, Donald Trump continues to fucking run circles around Kamala Harris and beat her at her own game. She's literally supposed to be quote unquote the left. But Donald Trump is literally running as the peace, as the dove. And now in their campaign, they're running on producing more energy via nuclear power plants. What? What is happening? What is going on?
We got to invest more in it. Kamala Harris has done the opposite. That's raised energy prices and also meant that we're doing
Senator,
worse by the climate.
your time is up. Governor, would you like to respond?
Well, look, we're producing more natural gas than we ever have. There's no moratorium on that. We're producing more oil. But the folks know, and like I said again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one year, massive flooding the next year. They understand that it makes sense. Look, our #1 export cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota this.
Wouldn't nuclear just make things worse? Correct me if I'm wrong. You are not correct. Nuclear power does not release any CO2 into the atmosphere. The stacks that you see are just cooling stacks, and that is steam coming out of the stacks. That is not CO2 emissions. Nuclear energy is good energy, and basically the only way we are ever going to reduce CO2 emissions for an extended period of time by pushing most of our energy production into nuclear engineering or into nuclear energy, because we need a vast amount of energy to live our comfortable lives. But nuclear energy is very, very good in regards to CO2 emissions. However, I will say nuclear waste is a bit of a problem. However, they are creating nuclear reactors that can take that nuclear waste and actually continue to produce energy that way. Nuclear power is clean in general. The difficulty is disposing of the rods, but you have 50 years to figure it out once you put the rods in. Thank you, SCal. It's actually every 3 years for the rods, I believe. Send nuclear waste to the moon. Oh, yeah, because that's a good idea. Make it glow green. Goddamn.
This summer. And thinking about how do we respond to that, we're thinking ahead on this. And
Chatter's brains more melted than mine.
We're starting to weatherproof some of these things. The infrastructure law that was passed allows us to think about mitigation in the future. How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign, and I'll let.
That's good. Thanks for the lesson. I'm not familiar with nuclear stuff one bit. Yeah, most people are not familiar with nuclear power on purpose, particularly because oil companies are spending a fuck ton of money on lobbying to prevent people from realizing that nuclear power is significantly better for the environment and better in general because it produces a tremendous amount of energy for very little cost once you actually build the nuclear power plant. Please don't take anything I say tonight seriously. I'm very tired. Well, does that mean that I should take the mod sword away from you, Jake? Jake, we need to take the depleted rods to power the scoots. Hold up, you might be cooking here. I have an idea about how to safely store nuclear rods, and it involves Oblek non-Newtonian fluids. I pitched it to an astrophysicist, and they thought it was a good idea. That would be so fast. I won't do anything crazy as a mod. Also, Kiko definitely just Googled something.
Let you do whatever you want. We can be smarter about that. And an all above energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Governor, your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that
Bitch,
the
shut the
Earth's
fuck up.
climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to immigration. The crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border consistently ranks as one of the top issues for American voters. Senator Vance, your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation plan in American history and to use the U.S. military to do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work? For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil? You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That has opened the floodgates. And what it's meant is that a lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction.
Chat, fentanyl is coming through ports of entry by actual American citizens, not by abuelas escaping fucking drug cartels.
Communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald.
Can't wait to make the Shut the Fuck Up compilation. We had a good one yesterday on Labyrinth stream. The oil and coal shit is most of the problem. Hydro, solar, even windmills is the way to go, I say. Am I wrong? I know that's off topic now, but yeah, you're correct, Tyler. That is definitely the way to go. However, those methods of energy production are not efficient enough to produce the amount of energy that we consume in our everyday lives and that are necessary in our everyday lives. So that's why you need to go to nuclear energy in order to transition to basically fully hydro, solar, and windmills. Tidal is also a really good one. But the problem with tidal is that shit sits in the ocean, and the ocean just wreaks havoc with anything that's there. JD looks like a little boy in a Christmas movie that woke up as an adult one morning. Yeah. Does anybody have the So Freely TikTok? This is a better description of. Oh.
It was a clip on Hassan's stream when he said that JD Vance has the facial expression of a German child who dropped his lollipop and now it's covered in ants.
Mein Lollipoppen!
But now I can't get it out of my head. Look at him. Mein Lollipoppen! It's covered in ants! What is the opposite of yippee? Whatever the opposite of yippee is, that is how I feel. Nobby! It was a clip on Hassan's stream when he said that JD Vance has the facial expression of a German.
Cal, feel free to share that link in the chat if you'd like. I think that's the one that you sent me. And if it's that one that I'm thinking, it's pretty good. Yeah. That's a solid Soph clip.
Donald Trump's border policies.
Also, chat.
Build the wall.
Go check out So Freely.
Deportations. And that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country.
Did I just uwooify capitalism? Capitalism, uwoo?
Yeah, that's So Freely. Go check her out.
What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start
this isn't true
on those folks. And then I think you make
this isn't
it harder
true
for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they
You like migrants undercutting the wages of American workers because you're a corporate fucking shill and you like paying workers less.
Wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been.
Also, I don't know the facts about this 320,000 children. That seems like an absurd number, so I'm assuming it's not true because most of the shit that these conservatives say isn't true. So you'd be all like, "I want Turkish delight now." I can't do a German accent.
Sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border.
Okay, I do want to talk about this a little bit. So the sex trafficking bullshit, the talking point, it's all shit. So you'll hear a lot from QAnon people that 800,000 children go missing every year, except literally like 80 to 90% of them are kids just running away from home and come back within like a few hours. So it's not fucking true. When he cries, he's like, flug. Was this late 18s, early 19s all over again? I sure hope not. This is insane. Yeah. Also, hilariously, Ronald Reagan was far more welcoming to migrant workers and migrants in general, because Ronald Reagan wanted to have amnesty for those that were living within the United States. Also, immigration, as we know it today, wasn't really a problem until the 1900s, I think. Normally, the United States, what was happening in the United States is there would be migrant workers that would come from Mexico, work during growing seasons on particularly farms and stuff, and then go back and live in Mexico with their families and everything. But now, because the United States started clamping down on the borders and crossings and shit, which, again, all drugs and shit come through ports of entry within the United States, like 80% of it comes through the United States. And a lot of the other border crossings are political asylum, which is definitely different than insane asylum. However, Donald Trump thinks that the word asylum means like mental asylums, not political asylum. There's people that are fleeing Latin American countries for their safety, known as asylum, which you legally by law have to provide them. You have to provide them refuge because they're applying for political asylum. It's the same thing as Jewish people that were fleeing Germany, and the United States didn't allow those people in there anyway. Lamau Ghost, that was perfect. Found it, took me a minute. Speaking of that, I have a clip where I explain that in 30 seconds. Okay, Kiko, give me the clip.
And I'd ask my fellow Americans to...
If you don't have a clip, I have another clip for you. While Kiko gets that clip, let's watch another clip of Kiko.
New York plus Bush. 9/11! I got 9/11! I got 9/11! I got 9/11! We did 9/11! We did 9/11! No! Don't clip that! Don't clip that! Do not clip that! Do not
Favorite
clip
clip? It's the best clip ever. Literally the best clip ever. This video is about the difficulties of renewables on the same grid as a classic alternate current. Thank you, SCow. Appreciate you sharing the link with everybody. Everybody, please check out that video. I'm pretty sure it's the same video that I had watched. Yeah, it's the same video I watched.
Remember, when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
Dude, if fucking Kamala Harris came out and said, I screwed up, she would get fucking eviscerated. Also, JD Vance has fucked up a lot. When is JD Vance going to come out and say, I fucked up? I need to change that. This shit is insane. Tabbed it up, gonna watch before bed. No problem, Jake. Go back. When did they leave?
Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember, when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish...
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay, so you get a container, and you get a little plant, you put it in the container, and you synthesize it, then you sell it to a cartel, and they move across the border, then it's in the north. Then you sell it to oblivious people on Wall Street who are racist towards Mexican people yet do the drugs that cause the problems in the fucking first place. No.
Kiko, that doesn't look like Pizza Sushi. The analysis song. That was great. That was so good. Hi, Derry. Good fucking point. I'm gonna go to bed soon as well. Well, Tyler, appreciate you being in here. Hope you stick around the community. We do like to talk about politics and history and shit. It sounds like you are interested in learning shit. We are also interested in learning shit. Also, we teach a lot of shit. But yeah.
That she would do that, it would be good for all of us.
Governor, do you care to respond to any of those specific allegations, including
lots
that
of shit
the
going
vice
around here?
president
Yeah.
is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children?
Okay, chat. Question for you. I will. I am trying to be aware of what's going on. That's good. That's a good thing. It's always good to be aware so that you don't let old people fucking gaslight you. Okay, chat. Do you think you could move more drugs into the United States by shoving them up abuela's asshole? Or do you think you can move more drugs? Oh, sorry. Putting them up abuela's butthole and sneaking them through with children who get captured by the border control most of the time? Or do you think you could sneak more drugs by putting them in, hiding them within a car and having an American citizen drive it through a port of entry and hiding it within the panels of a car? Which one do you think you would use? Abuelita, we're putting twice as much baggies inside of you because they're on a wheelchair. I say car. Yes, it's a car because like 80 to 90% of the fentanyl come to the United States within the ports of entry. Oh, fuck. This is an actual DEA report, so they don't have... Fuck, this is an actual DEA report, so they don't have the actual percentages. I don't feel like reading. Reading is for chumps. Oh my God. This is from the Cato Institute. That's evil. This is from the Cato Institute. This is literally a right-wing think tank. They said, fentanyl smuggling is ultimately funded by U.S. consumers who pay for illicit opioids, neither 99% of whom are U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens were 86.3% of convicted fentanyl drug traffickers and 10 times greater than convictions of illegal immigrants for the same offense. This is the Cato Institute. This is literally the institute that is pushing the talking points that illegal migrants are pushing fentanyl across the borders. Oh my fucking God. They're so stupid. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. During travel restrictions, fentanyl seizures at ports have quadrupled from fiscal year 2019 to 2021. Fentanyl went from a third of combined heroin and fentanyl seizures to over 90%. Well, that's not the answer. Location of smuggling makes sense because hard drugs at the ports of entry are 97% less likely to be stopped than are people crossing illegally. Over 90% of fentanyl seizures occur at legal crossing points or interior vehicle checkpoints, not on illegal migration routes, so U.S. citizens who are subject to less scrutiny when crossing legally are the best smugglers. Oh my God. This is insane. This is insane. Dude, when the evil people can't back their own claims, yeah, it's just... Dude, it came from the Cato Institute. Also, I found information on the 320,000 children. It distorts... I'll just bring it up here. Fuck. This distorts a key finding in August 2024 report from the Department of Homeland Security Inspectors General. It found Immigration and Customs Enforcement has been unable to keep track of all unaccompanied minors released from government custody. The claim combines two numbers in the report: more than 32,000 unaccompanied migrant children failed to appear for the immigration court hearings between 2019 and 2023, a period spanning the presidencies of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, according to the report. It said ICE was not able to account for the location of all unaccompanied migrant children who were released by HHS and do not appear as scheduled in immigration court. Also, ICE is not a fucking good agency at all. ICE is not a good agency at all. The report also found that more than 291,000 unaccompanied children who, as of May 2024, had not been served notices to appear in court at ICE and had courts. Dude, that's not even. Oh my God. Okay, I'm back. BRB. Okay. There's 291,000 unaccompanied children who haven't been served notices aren't lost children. They just haven't been served fucking notices. Just like you don't notice the top of the hour ad break because the top of every hour I run a 3-minute ad. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay. Oh, no. There's no discount anymore. It's not September anymore. Anyway, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription, or you can get lucky and get gifted a sub, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription to your favorite streamer. Hopefully it's me. If it's not me, hopefully it's Kiko. But if you don't get a subscription that way, you get stuck behind the 3-minute ad break, which comes now. Also, chat, I'm going to get water and go to the bathroom quickly during the ad, so you probably won't miss anything. So see y'all in a second. Any mods, feel free to do shout outs during this time.
Did it like glitch out of the game? I have to do this again? I hope not too. It would seem odd that they would make that a thing, to be honest. Because then you're stuck. Like, you can't move forward without it. So it would be crazy if they let you blow it up and then they just let you wander around aimlessly, right?
I had no shirt on. I can't take off my shirt. That's what you guys want. Okay. Okay.
Oh, God damn it, Mukesh! No, give up. Hey, Vinay, chill.
That's my best one. That's my best one. You didn't ask for it, but that's mine. I could do it better.
All right, I'm back. Pico, you can still do shout outs from mobile.
Eat it.
I'm not sure you can eat it.
Why is it still bleeding?
Phone's officially dead. Rest in power, phone. Yeah. Did you know if you got $7,000 every hour of every day since the birth of Jesus, you still wouldn't be as rich as Bezos? The more you know. May the phone find power in death. The report found the number of unaccompanied children who missed their court dates may have been higher than 32,000 had ICE issued notices or scheduled court dates for those children, but it does not say those children were lost. Why are they not talking about this? I've had that phone for years. It's my first one, so I'm sad. Time to save up money? Yeah. Unfortunately, we need phones nowadays.
the drug mule is not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history.
That's pretty solid.
30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this. And
Fun fact, human trafficking cases went down during Donald Trump's presidency.
Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans out here. That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James.
Why are you bragging about this bill? Okay, here's the problem. This bill was literally, okay. So this bill is literally the same bill that Donald Trump was pushing in December 2023 when literally the Democratic Party was correctly calling out Donald Trump's rhetoric as Hitlerian. Then, a few months later, Joe Biden comes out and says, oh, this is a bipartisan bill. It's literally the fucking same as the person that you just talked about saying Hitlerian talking points. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Nobody gives a fuck about bipartisanship. Do the right thing. Stop fucking everything up and bringing us further and further right and further down fascist fucking fascist rabbit hole. I couldn't think of a word. So someone did the math and said if you got 10K a day since the pyramids in Giza, you would have the amount of money Bezos had, and then they realized they were still wrong. That's still 10 times too little. Jesus Christ. Time is it for you, Ghost? Yeah, 7 p.m. I am 10-9. Yes, I am West Coast. 11:08 here in Japan. Nobody cares about you, Kiko. Nobody cares about Japan. Go away. Go away. Go away in Japan with your high-speed rail and your fucking cheap housing and all that bullshit. Love you, buddy.
Say this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get that.
Chat, Chamber of Commerce is pro-business. So whenever you hear the Chamber of Commerce shit, it's basically to fuck over workers. Just remember that.
The adjudications on this, just what America wants.
Cheap housing, yes.
Getting ready to pass and actually tackle this.
Yeah, I'll go fuck myself, chat.
Trump said no.
What do I mean?
Against it
Kiko, could you tell the chat what your rent is? Please. Would you ever be so kind to tell us what your rent is for your apartment? Rent is $300 a month. Yeah, Manu. Yeah.
Gives him a campaign issue. It gives him what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things? And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this, and he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it.
You have a cheap holy crap. Yeah, I've been saying this shit for a while, Tyler.
Pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing people and telling them what he was going to do. As far as the deportation plan, at one point, Senator Vance said it was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at. Pass the bill, she'll sign it.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens? You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country. And we know that they use children as drug mules, and it is a disgrace, and it has to stop. Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that...
Like the audacity of me to run ads and have paid subs. True, Kiko. True. Except I literally tell people to sub to you whenever they get a chance. Even 20 years ago, I paid $508 for my 600-foot studio apartment. 25 years ago. Now, actually, yeah. My apartment in college was $550, and that was 12 years ago. And then it went up to $650, and that was 10 years ago. Bitch, I'm paying 4 times more than you. You're so lucky. Yeah. Granted, a bunch of it goes to Gaza, so I'm going to heaven. Yeah. Yeah, have fun yelling at politics. I'm gonna get some sleep. Let me know what other BS is said. Good night, y'all. Yeah, feel free to check out the VOD later on, Tyler. Have a good night. Have a good night of rest. Hope you have a restful sleep. Talk to you later. Kiko, I'm sorry, I don't have a tuck command.
Somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford.
Okay, this is what pisses me off. These fucking morons who are libertarian. One of the things about being libertarian is to literally allow free movement. So when you're saying you want to close the borders, you're literally going against one of your libertarian core principles. Super open. Yes, they're not open at all. They're not fucking open at all. We have open borders between states and shit. Are there fucking problems where crime is getting brought across the states? No, there fucking isn't. Borders are fucking stupid anyway. It's crazy that if you're born across this imaginary line, your life is significantly worse than being born 5 feet on the other side of the line.
Afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president again.
Senator, your time is up. Governor,
he had 4 years to stop this. Why didn't he stop it?
Polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportations.
Look, we fixed this issue.
Yes, but more than 50% of Americans also support amnesty for migrants.
This is what happens when you don't want to solve it. You demonize it. And we saw this. And Senator Vance, and it surprises me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally in the community of Springfield.
He said that JD Vance basically said, I admit that I'm going to create stories to bring the attention to the American people, even though the stories are fake.
There's consequence. We could come together. Senator Langford did it. We could come together and solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump
and
not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Tim,
Governor, your time is up. Senator, I'll give you 1 minute, but let me just ask you the question first. The governor has made the point, and I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding.
Van, fix it.
So
no,
you
that's what
have
I'm
said
saying.
Repeatedly that
don't give him the benefit of the doubt.
Through executive action,
make him say that he wants to do this.
Do you disagree that Congress controls the purse strings and would need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been, and it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents...
Just because you've been to the border doesn't mean you know what's going on at the fucking border. You literally go to the border as a PR move, just like when you're in the fucking military. You're only there writing fucking PR fluff
if you try to
pieces.
come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico. You've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said.
He brought up Ohio. He didn't bring up Springfield.
In Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed.
Yeah, maybe we should fund them.
You've got housing that is totally unaffordable.
Maybe we should build more housing.
Millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's.
I go to the border all the time and they tend to want to deport me, a U.S. citizen. No, Cal, that never happens. That definitely didn't happen during Operation Opposite of Dry Front. Would they be talking about The Simpsons? Yeah, they're talking about The Simpsons.
Open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, you have 1 minute to respond.
Yeah, well, it is law enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. That's because they know we need to do this. Look,
just because law enforcement helped craft the bill doesn't mean that the bill is good. Remember, law enforcement wants to increase their budgets at all costs. And they claim that crime has been on the rise, even though crime has been literally falling since the 1970s. Not only in the United States, but all around the world.
It becomes a blame. Look, this bill also gives the money necessary to adjudicate. I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about,
Whoa,
to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to
dropping some
this bill
Bible
does
verses.
It's funded, it's supported by the people who do it, and it lets us keep our dignity about how we treat other people.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status.
Thank you.
Temporary protected status.
Well,
Nora?
Margaret, but
Thank you. Senator, we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
We're
because
going to turn now to the
debate-
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going
we're-
to fact check, and since you're fact checking,
What?
I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the way.
If you are applying for this, you no longer become undocumented, which means you are documented.
Thank you, Senator.
Facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank
our
you,
own
Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those
We have
laws
so
have been
much.
on the books since 1990.
Is a real city, dude, not just in the cartoon. Yep.
App has not been on the books.
There's a shit ton of Springfields, Manu. I'm pro nicknaming the books of Bible. Matthew is Matt. Imagine having a document saying you're undocumented. Yeah, tell me about it.
Books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret. The economy is a top concern for voters. Each of your campaigns has released an economic plan, so let's talk about the specifics. Governor Walz, Vice President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit. The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation.
You said you weren't going to fact check me. Yeah, I know. He's like, you said you weren't gonna push back on my fucking lies and everything. So let me fucking stand up here and lie.
Nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you
crazy.
pay for that without ballooning the deficit? Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up in that. We understand. So those of you out there listening tonight, you're hearing a lot of stuff back and forth, and it's good. It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris put out there is talking about this housing issue. The one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down payment assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house is much more than just an asset to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at.
Whoa.
And then making sure that the things you buy every day, whether they be prescription drugs or
Whoa, that's some Mao commie shit. Whoa, that's some Mao commie shit saying that a house isn't an asset for you. Holy shit. Communist Walz, Comrade Walz, oh shit.
It's a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis, prices went down on rent 4%. It's working. And then making sure tax cuts go to the middle class. $6,000 child tax credit, we have one in Minnesota, reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We save money in the long run.
The children yearn for the mines. That's how you reduce childhood poverty.
Off the ground. The law as it stands right now is $5,000 tax credit for small business, increasing that to $50,000. Now, this is a philosophical difference between us. Donald Trump made a promise, and I'll give you this. He kept it. He took folks to Mar-a-Lago, said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it.
Chat, that is a VAT tax, and that goes to most poor and middle class people, not rich people.
Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants
Watch
to do.
my video on taxes to find out about that shit.
Fair share. When you do that, our system works best, more people are participating in it, and folks have the things that they need.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond on that. But similarly, the Wharton School has done an analysis of the Trump plan and says it would increase the nation's deficit by $5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning the deficit? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer, a lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do. And some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear.
Did he just admit that it sounds good?
Because
did he just admit that the Kamala Harris policies sound good? What is he doing?
To enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing.
No, corporations have driven up the cost of fucking house. Corporations have driven up the cost of food, and landlords have driven up the cost of housing.
For how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now, not when asking for a promotion.
I'm gonna make a clip out of this.
Drive the cost of food higher by 25%. Drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%. Open the American Southern.
Kamala Harris did not drive up the cost of housing by 60%. Greedy fucking landlords have driven up the cost of housing by 60% because they're fucking landlords. They don't actually produce fucking anything. They are living off the backs of working class people every fucking day. They are parasites. God fucking damn it. Stop. Why do we keep praising fucking landlords? They are literally human scum. I told a conservative person the other day that conservatives talk about personal values, how they are proud to live in a small town where you can ask the neighbor for a cup of sugar or some milk. And I was like, that is being social, helping your commune. Should that lady charge interest for a sugar? Yeah, exactly. Cup of brown sugar? Yeah.
Border and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now, not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record. A lot of those same economists attack.
You're wrong, sir. Landlords are so awesome. You should start tipping them. Dude, I can't believe that I can't believe landlords fucking said
Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country.
Chat.
1.5%.
Chat, did you see how he was? Did you see how he's discounting education there? Did you see how he's discounting education there, saying that people that are educated don't have common sense? Landlords do rock. Yeah, they rock so much that they should be laying on the ground with other rock, maybe after getting hit with other rocks in a video game. Even better, the cottage industry property managers. Yeah.
Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay to middle class and working class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country.
The stock market isn't the economic boom.
Get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream.
Also, there was an economic boom during 2020 because they literally handed people money.
About paying the bills, it's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
Governor, do you want to respond to that? What has Kamala Harris done for the middle class?
Yeah, well, Kamala Harris's day one was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession.
My light fell over. Sorry, chat.
Work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that.
Even better, who inserts themselves between the parasitic landlords and their profits in housing? Extractive, secondary, parasitical, profit extracting? Yes. Extracting secondary, yeah. That my last place I lived at was like that, but now I just deal directly with a landlord. Not that it's that much better, but it's a little bit better. But I'm still paying way more than I should be for my apartment.
That was day one, whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going
Walz
to be president,
picked up on it.
You don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day.
What if you're a landlord, but you're also nice? Don't care. Also, mom and pop landlords, I don't really care about that. That's fine. Whatever. That's their retirement. And they usually don't charge an arm and a leg. My new move is thinking like someone's kind aunt. Doesn't matter. The landlord is still a fucking parasite, even if they're nice.
Day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, or whatever. How is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years, in the last year as president? That's what's wrong with the system. There's a way around it, and he's bragged about that. We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
You have a minute.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that.
No, they never.
They were wrong about the.
Jesus Christ. They never fucking said that. They never said goods. They never said goods would be cheaper. They literally said that fucking wealthy people are going to continue to make more money. No, we literally have cheaper goods. We do have cheaper goods. Like, the goods are cheaper quality and everything. And it made fucking rich people even more fucking money. JD stands for Jesus, dude. That's where I was going with that, Escal. Thank you for saying the thing that I was trying to say.
Idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. And I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2.
Chat. Production has gone up in the United States over the last fucking 40 fucking years. Wages have not gone on at that time. Where do you think that money has gone between the productivity and the wages? Where do you think that money has gone? It's gone to the wealthy. Vance's Riverlands noble house, by the way. You'll care about our con JD Vance. You want to dance with JD Vance? What? That's weird. Also, I think I'm missing the Riverlands Noble House reference.
Too, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceutical.
Well, Plank, you got a September 2024 badge? That's cool.
That we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This
Song of Ice and Fire, that's what I thought you meant. I'm watching Game of Thrones right now. I'm trying to think of the Riverlands house. You got one too? What the fuck? How did you guys get one? How did you guys get one? How did you get one?
To stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator, your time is up. Governor Walz, can you address that? Voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more.
I donated fucking 20 subs to people. Sadly, House Vance is not featured in the TV show. Oh, okay. So did I. Psych. Wow, Kiko. Wow, Kiko. Your money's going to better causes, though.
Why?
Well, if you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were. Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in.
Did you do it during the bonus sub time last week? Yes, I did.
What concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the...
I donated 5 to Okayish, 5 to Dairy, 5 to Labyrinth, and I did 5 to... I think I did 5 to Kiko. 5 to Okayish. I did 10 and 10. Oh. Did 5 to Okayish, 5 to Dairy. Oh, I think I did 5 to Kiko during Unhinged Friday. Actually. I waited the entire month to do those donos to get the bonus subs. I think I gifted like 3. What the fuck? This is bullshit. Check your custom badges. Well, I was in okay, I have Okayish to stream up here, and I was looking at... Oh, wait. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I do have it. Yay! Yay, I have it. Yay! I'd rather have that than the Prime badge. Sweet.
the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen.
Also,
too.
a
I
trade
watched it to
deficit
my
isn't a bad
communities,
thing.
and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
No, that's a gross generalization.
that he did. So
Thank
what
you.
Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim,
Wow, Walz jumped on that like fucking white on rice. Dude, that was good. I like this. I like Walz doing this.
you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and
Vance is out of his element here. No, Vance is directly in his element because Vance's element is fucking propaganda and gaslighting. So this is perfect for him. But any kind of fact checking makes Vance completely fall apart, which is why he burst out saying, like, you said you weren't going to fact check me. Facts.
housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford.
Wait a minute. Did he just say his mother went into medical debt so that she could put food on the table? Why does that... How does that sentence make sense? Someone explain that one to me. You are choosing to go into medical debt to put food on the table. Those feel like they should be a little exclusive, little mutually exclusive. I feel like your medical debt and your groceries probably not directly related to one another, unless you're not paying medical debt to put food on the table. But also, how does JD Vance think that medical debt is fucking normal? Why is that normal? Why does he think that's a good thing? What if Tim Walz goes, you had sex with a couch? Yeah, but Walz is punching back and he's stumbling. Yes, I agree with you, Escow. It's the same thing that we saw with JD Vance whenever he gets pushback in an interview, which again is why he burst out saying, you said you weren't going to fact check me. Let me get out all my lies. I feel like his implication is they didn't pay for medical treatments to get food, but at some point they stopped letting you get more procedures. Yeah.
To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
Just remember, chat. We need more capitalism. More capitalism means that things are going to be better. We need more of it.
A lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications. The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask
They should have started with this question at the beginning when they talked about if they would talk about preemptive strikes on Iran.
The deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
What?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400. Town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. They look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be
Comrade
Xi
Walz.
Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
That was
so
bad.
I was in
That was fucking bad.
Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor.
That was bad.
Senator Vance,
That was
in
not good.
2016, you called your running mate, Donald Trump, unfit for the nation's highest office, and you said he could be America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times.
Hey, Ghosty, what's up, Labyrinth? Shout out to China and their cool clocks.
And explained you then voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear and not just the advice he wants to hear? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump.
He's been so open that he's open to having sex with couches.
Media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews is because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out to messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent that I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round if Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe
my man takes off his wedding ring when he walks through an IKEA.
Congress is not just a high-class debating society. It's not just a forum for senators and Congress.
That's a solid one, Kiko.
It's a forum to govern. So there were a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is he continued some of the...
It's important to be honest. That's why I'm mad you fact-checked me. You said you wouldn't. You lied. You lied. You said you wouldn't fact-check me. So fact-checking me means that you lied. It's important to be honest.
Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up. Nora?
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz, after Roe versus Wade was overturned, you signed a bill.
Did we get to that part yet? That was hilarious. Yeah, we did that part. That part was about 20 minutes earlier in the video when Margaret Brennan said that the Haitian residents within Ohio are legal residents. Imagine fact checking. I know. Tell me about it, Jade Argo.
Into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind. Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade, 52 years of personal autonomy. And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states. It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy.
Amy COVID Barrett.
Got sepsis.
God, do you remember that when Amy COVID Barrett gave like most of the Republican Party fucking COVID
in Kentucky,
right before the 2020 election?
Duvall, a 12-year-old child raised
is actually
and impregnated
powerful
by her stepfather. Those are horrific.
Anecdotal
Now, when
stories
got
are
asked about
powerful,
that,
which is why
Senator Vance
Republicans.
said, two wrongs don't make a right. There is no.
This is
right
why Republicans
in
constantly talk about
So in
anecdotal
Minnesota, what
anecdotal
we did
shit.
was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a registry of pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to get contraception and limit access, if not eliminate access to infertility treatments. For so many of you out there listening, me included, infertility treatments are why I have a child. That's nobody else's business, but those things are being proposed. And the catch-all on this is well, the states will decide what's right for Texas might not be right for
Amy
Washington.
Hussein Barr. Actually,
That's
never
not
mind.
how
Fuck
this
it. No,
works.
that was Bill
This is
Hussein Barr.
basic human right. We have seen maternal mortality skyrocket in Texas, outpacing many other countries in the world. This is about health care. In Minnesota, we are ranked first.
He needs to say, make this a decision between a mother and the doctor. Make this a decision between a mother and a doctor, a woman and a doctor.
Certainly we won't. And I want to talk about
a woman and a doctor. Make the decision between a woman and a doctor. That's all you need to say.
With everything that I've ever said on this topic. And, you know, I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And, you know, one of them is actually very dear to me. And I know she's watching tonight, and I love you. And she told me something a couple years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive relationship.
Texas spelled backwards a small saxophone.
A Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump wait to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
Wait a minute. 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 So JD Vance brings up anecdotal story about knowing a woman that said she was happy that she got an abortion because she was in an abusive relationship and she wouldn't have been able to get out of the abusive relationship. So JD Vance takes that story and then says, actually, we're showing that American people don't trust us anymore. Maybe because you got rid of a woman's right to bodily autonomy and would have prevented that woman from being able to get out of that abusive relationship if you guys had been in power. Maybe that's why they don't fucking trust you anymore. The woman's life is also an innocent life. The woman's life is also an innocent life. Okay, sick. I've seen up to this point, but not the second half. Yeah, I'm jealous of you, JD. Because we got to go through this, damn it.
Make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do on the public policy front just to give women more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona. And the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Governor, would you like to respond?
That was that was a fucking crazy statement. That was a crazy monologue he just went on. He talked about a story in which he knew somebody that got an abortion and said, getting the abortion was a good thing because I was in an abusive relationship. Then he goes on to say, we actually lost the Americans' trust in this situation. Maybe because your party has been trying to fucking get rid of it for decades and has now finally fucking gotten rid of it. Maybe that's why they lost your trust. And literally every judge that was put onto the Supreme Court lied and said that they would never get rid of it. And then they got rid of it. I wonder why they want to mistrust. I wonder why they mistrust you. If there is anyone who knows a woman's body, it's a man. That's why we made cone bras for like 3 decades. True. They had you in the first half, JD, because boobs are conical. I don't see a fly land on anyone's head, so I checked out. That fly was the shit. Vance is such a clown. Yeah. I feel like JD Vance give other JDs a bad name, J. Dargo. What do you think?
Answer the question about restrictions.
Yeah, well, the question got asked, and Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance had Amber...
Why are they not on the side of the screen that matches the political party? I don't know. Well, actually, I guess you can't have two rights. True. True, Kiko. That's a very base statement, Kiko. That's probably one of your better political jokes that you've had.
Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that. He mentioned, it was, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone can't support legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is,
from their perspective, Vance is on the right. Well, yeah, he's
first of all,
further
I
right
supported a national
than
ban.
Kamala.
I did when I was running for Senate in 2022 talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in this.
So one of the things I've noticed, give a quick little summary here. JD Vance is saying a lot of bullshit. Wasn't shocking. Now, from their perspective, Vance is on the right. No, like physically. Oh, yeah, that's true. He's saying physically Walz is on the left side of Vance. Yeah. I understand what he's saying now. So anyway, my thoughts so far in this debate. JD Vance is saying a lot of bullshit. He hasn't said too many online shit, like when he's talking about the Haitian immigrants and stuff. That's just online fucking brain rot and stuff. That's him being online too much. The one thing I've noticed from Walz is Walz has had to stop himself from saying things, and it seems like it was when he was going to say his opinion on something, but he had to catch himself and say what the Kamala Harris's campaign and stance is on something. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. I've seen it a couple times, particularly early in the debate. Just an observation. It might be right. It might not be right. I noticed it a few times too. Yeah. Because there was a couple times where it seemed like Walz wanted to go further left on a position and then started talking or was about to say something and then stopped himself and had to say what Kamala Harris's position on it is. And it sounds weird because he's so much more progressive. Yes, that's another thing. But it looked like he was literally stopping. He was about to say something and then stopping because he had to catch himself to say his actual opinion, which would then force the Kamala campaign to run on that position, which maybe Tim Walz wants to be the inside guy and start pushing more progressive policies and then seeing the poll numbers go up for those progressive policies, and then Kamala Harris runs on a more progressive policy. Maybe Kamala Harris. Maybe chat. Maybe. Am I just coping? Is that copium? Is that copium? Or is that a good idea? Because that's what I think Tim Walz should do, is start fucking talking about progressive policies and then pushing Kamala Harris towards progressive policies to ensure victory over Donald Trump and JD Couchfucker Vance.
In place in
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's more progressive usually than what he's saying now. Yeah.
this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not, though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, you know, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. So many young women also see an unplanned pregnancy as something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships. And we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are
does, because it was unplanned.
Pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that. And that's what real leadership is.
Governor, your response.
I'm going to respond on the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice. We know what the implications are to not be that.
This is good.
Women having miscarriages.
But not as good as avoiding the top of the hour ad break, because the top of every hour, you run a 3-minute ad to avoid pre-roll ads for any new viewers. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription to your favorite streamer. Hopefully, that's me, or Kiko, or JD. Or you can get lucky and get gifted a sub. But if you don't get a sub any of those ways, then you get stuck behind the 3-minute ad break now. No ad for me. Damn right, ass cow. Damn right. Anyway, chat, while the ad's running, I'm going to fill my water. Also, there was a Banivator, which best mod from Texas got. I love clapping bots. It's awesome. I love being in other people's streams and just clapping bots. Also, they got really creative with the links now, so you can't fucking put them on like a ban list. Chat, I'm gonna grab water real quick and I'll be right back. Feel free to give a couple shout outs while I'm gone.
Eat it.
Eat it. Eat it. Gonna get ready for bed. Gonna put you on the background. Thanks, Cal. Hope you get a restful sleep.
Why is it still bleeding? See?
Kiko, I'm back.
A disturbance in the force. This time I'm gonna smack.
Also, did it skip Labyrinth Master?
Go for it.
Chat, check them all out.
That was perfect timing, sir.
And then you simultaneously
shit, that's not what I wanted to do.
Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and
Vance is out of his element here. No, Vance is directly in his element because, fuck, that's not the clip I wanted to Yeah, I'm on mobile right now. No problem, Kiko. That would explain why you were so delayed. This is the one I wanted to put.
And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic.
No, what the
which
fuck?
has made gas, groceries, and
Vance is out of his element. What the fuck is going on? Fuck it. We'll watch it later.
Women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be prosecuted for providing that care.
Hold on a second. I have an idea. I kind of want to do something.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Let me cook. Let me cook, chat.
Proposition for you. I'm listening. I'm grumpy, but I'm listening. Do you want to react to the second half of the VP debate with me? Sure. Sure. Why not? Wait, really? Yeah, fuck it. I just spent the last 45 minutes, trying to set up this fucking tablet, and it didn't happen, and I might as well do something else. I don't want to keep you awake, bro. Do you see? See this? See this up here? See that? What else am I gonna do? You chose to do this. Not you gaslighting me already.
Oh, S-Cow dropping the gifties.
Not you. S-Cow! Oh, friend. Thank you. Thank you, S-Cow. Thank you. So you have voice chat and
What's happening right now?
okay.
I'm
So
bringing
wait,
in a guest.
Are we not doing stream together then? Escow, thank you. Escow, thank you. Escow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk about it. Escow hype. All right. Okay. Well, fuck's sake. Will you send me an invite on Discord? There's a hype train going. That's fun. Hello? Wait a second.
Fight?
General chat? General? Voice channels?
Hi.
I'm here.
Hi.
You sent me an invite. There you are. Hello?
Hi. How are you?
I can't hear you.
What do you-
Oh, I know why I can't hear you. Ah, shit.
Classic. Classic chat. Classic. Oh, JD. JD with the 5 gifted.
It was so loud. It was so loud. JD, hi. Thank you. Hi, train. Pyro, thank you for the biddies. Not you. Not everyone running a train on me. What's going on? Bye, Fred. Good night.
Yeah, increase that timer, chat. Woo!
Now we're back almost up to 3 days again. I'm never gonna get off the stream. It's never gonna happen. We're gonna stay here forever.
You're the genius that did uncapped subathon. Jeez. Jeez, okay. Oh my god.
Pyro!
Can
Fucking hell.
can Ah. Oh my god, her stream's broken. It. Oh my god, her stream's broken. You guys broke her stream. What'd you do? You broke her stream. Oh my god. You broke her stream. Oh my god, you broke her stream. You guys broke her stream. JD, what are you doing? Oh my god. Oh my god, you guys broke her stream. Okay. Well, I guess we'll wait until Okayish gets back. Wow. Yikes. I blame you, Ghost. You literally took us on a field trip to poke the bear. Yeah, of course. Of course. Her hype train is still going. That's the best part. Wow. Whoops. Whoops, chat. You know for a fact most people here had her tattoo? Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to bring her in. Spectrum can literally suck my dick. I fucking can't, you guys. That's what Okayish said. Oh, shit. Spectrum can literally suck my dick. I fucking can't, you guys. Wait! Oh my god, she just got raided too! She got raided! She got raided! Oh my god, she got raided! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oops. Thing. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, no, Fossabot. The fuck? I deleted that one. I shouldn't have put that up there. All right, let's continue with the react.
And as far as making sure that we're educating our children and giving them options, Minnesota's a state with one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the options need to be available, and we make that true. We also make it, we're a top 3 state for the best place to raise children. But these two things to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all. We are pro-freedoms for women to make their choices, and we're going, and Kamala Harris is making the case, to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to base that on the backs of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Senator?
May I respond to that? First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides...
When it comes to the internet, I don't enjoy being on the spectrum. Solid joke, Kiko. Dude, Kiko's on point today. Kiko's on point today. Kiko, you need to stream today because I feel like your jokes would do well.
over an abortion where the baby survives.
I hate Comcast. They are so evil, but I think Spectrum is even more evil. Yeah, they're basically... Aren't they the same company nowadays?
Doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think,
That's
whether
not
you're
true.
pro-choice or
That's not how the law
pro-abortion,
is.
that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen—
R.I.P. Laura.
Force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will.
Cox and Time Warner merged to become Spectrum.
Because
Wait,
Kamala Harris,
what?
you've seen fundamentally—
Wait.
is, I think,
Wait. Is he saying that doctors are performing abortions on mothers that are being forced to take abortions? What? Cox and Time Warner merged to become Spectrum. They docked.
Choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen— do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country where we're—
An abortion is medically necessary sometimes. An abortion is just health care. If you're denying a person health care, you probably shouldn't have a license to perform medical services. Just abortions for fun, abortions as a treat. Yeah, being pregnant for 8 months just for fucking fun, just for shits and giggles.
Respect people's
Dude,
freedom.
conservative brain rot is so fucking stupid. I can't. So irritating.
Of conscience and make—
Agreed. If you want to do all healthcare, get the fuck out of the business. Yeah, exactly.
the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Pro-baby is no tax,
This
child
is
tax
a very
credits.
simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about
Thank
their
you.
healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best
Boom!
when they need to do this.
He fucking
Trying
finally
to
said
distort
it.
the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it
But
at all.
what was I wrong
This
about,
was-
Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong
That is
about?
not the way the law is written. Look, I've given
But
this,
how?
I've given this advice on a lot of things that getting
This is
involved.
Gish Gallopin.
That's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved.
If I remember correctly, there were even a lot of conservatives that were angry about Roe versus Wade being overturned. It was unpopular overall. Yes, correct. Does to not. 75% of the country agreed Roe versus Wade should be the law of the land. Everybody agreed. 75% of the country agreed Roe versus Wade was correct. Roe versus Wade created a floor for the amount of time that abortions can be performed. It allowed abortions to be performed as long as it was deemed medically necessary by the woman and the doctor itself. When they talk about late-term abortions, they're talking about 1% of 1% of abortions. And people that are pregnant for that long are literally expecting to have a baby and have to get an abortion because it is deemed medically necessary for the life of the mother. Do you understand how devastating it probably is for these mothers that unfortunately have to terminate a pregnancy that late into term? They're fully expecting to have a child. And they get this news that either the fetus is non-viable, which is a stillborn baby, and it no longer has a heartbeat, or it's going to threaten the life of the mother. That's when those happen. They're rare. They're very rare. It's like 1% of the 1%. This is what we're talking about. Most abortions happen in like the first 20 weeks. I think it's 16 weeks, actually, in the first 16 weeks. And it's usually just a pill. Catholic hospitals ask you what your blood type is, and you got to say Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, most Protestant hospitals would say grape juice then. Ghoulish behavior, yeah.
I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we
Protestant hospitals ask you for a blood type and just shoot you. That's the Northern Ireland Protestant. That's the Northern Ireland Protestant hospitals.
do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor.
They just moved into your house. Are there Protestants moving into your house? Are there like Hindu hospitals? Probably. There's got to be.
You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with much more of the CBS News vice presidential debate in just a moment.
Oh, God, chat. Cold-blooded, but so true. Okay, I'm heading to bed now. Good night, SK. I hope you have a restful sleep. I'm out of water. I need to get water, chat. They're making me drink a lot of water because I'm talking a lot. I'll be right back. It'll take me like 2 seconds. Actually, I'll play it while I'm getting water.
Welcome back to the CBS News vice presidential debate. We want to turn now to America's gun violence epidemic. The leading cause of death for children and teens in America is by firearms. Senator Vance, you oppose most gun legislation that Democrats claim would curb gun violence. You oppose red flag gun laws and legislation to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, including AR-15s. So let me ask you, earlier this year, for the first time, the parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Do you think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well,
Probably
no,
not.
in that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous.
Holy shit, okay, she's at a T7 raid. Yeah, the hype train, her hype train got up to level 7. I was just telling her about it. She's been in there all the time. Hindu hospital's like, guys, seriously, please send Bobs and Vagines. I need to do my job. Offline, yes. Oh, I didn't notice that she was typing in chat the whole time. I was messaging her on Discord.
Look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff.
They don't have to experience
and we
this.
do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just, how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained.
But how? Yeah, exactly, Dustin. It almost be like if you didn't have that many weapons available, maybe, you know, people wouldn't get shot as many times as with weapons. As we do nowadays, considering the United States has more weapons than fucking people living here. If only we had evidence from within the United States American history, like maybe the 1990s when we banned assault weapons. If only there was data from that period of time on mass shootings. If only we could find out if an assault weapons ban actually reduced mass shootings.
Firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartels. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have
it's
to
a good
make the
idea.
doors
Let's
lock
make
better.
schools more like fucking prisons. Like, let's make schools more like prisons. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience.
Okay. Literally every gun starts out as a legal gun. Every gun starts out as a legal gun. it eventually becomes an illegal gun. If you stop the productions of guns, that's how you dramatically reduce the amount of illegal guns in circulation. Why is this so fucking hard? Why is this so difficult for people to fucking comprehend? Oh my God, it's so fucking frustrating. Oh yes, his argument here is hilarious, saying that guns are from the cartels. Cartels literally buy guns from the US. Imagine having children with JD Vance. That's wild. Arm the teacher's brother. Wait. Did I miss that? Did he say that the guns are from the cartels? The cartels literally buy the guns from the United States. Literally hobbyists not wanting to give up their toys. Yeah, 100%. That's my thoughts about it too as well, Dust. Yeah, it's literally they don't want to give up their fucking toys. It's equivalent to saying that actually we're going to ban like PlayStations and shit. JD Vance asks his kids what kind of Indian they are. Wait, did I miss that part? Did he actually say that the guns were from the cartels? Illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was in 3. Wait a minute. He actually said, I missed this part?
And the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartel. So that number,
guns are from the
amount of
United
illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids?
That's
and I think
fucking
the answer
insane.
and I say this
Also, it doesn't change what I said. Every gun created is literally a legal gun and then becomes illegal eventually.
where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security.
The guns are from Academy Sports and Outdoor Shitty.
Lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer. And I think we've got to have some common sense bipartisan solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded.
We need bulletproof children, school uniform armor, perhaps Gundams. You're damn right, Dusty.
On the wall. Their
That's it.
7-year-old were dead, and they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms.
They're literally talking about giving guns to teachers. Well, what's going to happen when teachers start shooting kids? Like, are we going to have to start arming the kids?
In Minnesota, we've enacted enhanced.
Off topic, but many of my Japanese friends, when they visit the States, send me photos of Dick's Sporting Goods and laugh at the name. Like, all of them have done this. Chat, do not make the mistake of going to dicks.com when you're trying to go to dicksportinggoods.com. Bulletproof Backpack Solutions, a dystopian rerun. Yeah, I fucking remember that shit. So, dust to not, I was literally in high school when a kid brought a gun to school. Luckily, he didn't shoot at all. He just brought a gun and a bunch of fireworks to school and sat in a stairwell and smoked a lot of cigarettes. But we were evacuated, and we weren't given any information. When we were evacuated from the school, we saw all the cops in their fucking SWAT uniforms and fucking grenades and shit. It was fucking terrifying. Like, as a high school kid, I was kind of laughing and like just like, all right, we got off. But like, I cannot imagine what my mom felt like. And that was a day I literally I forgot to. I didn't forget. I like didn't bring my gun. I didn't bring my phone to school because I didn't have pockets. So I didn't bring my phone to school that day. I vividly remember this. I had gym shorts that didn't have pockets, so I didn't bring my phone to school that day. So I had to borrow my friend's phone. No, Dick's Sporting Goods is just cover for chuds who are still in the closet. They could tell their wives that they were just looking for fishing bait. We used to have a brand of cheese called Coon. Oh, that's bad. Just in block letters and unpack it. Oh, man. Yeah, but that's not a slur. That wasn't like a traditional slur in your country. It's just like the N-word in the continent of Africa doesn't really mean anything because it's not seen as a slur in Africa. Like, Trevor Noah talks about it. Like, there were people throwing the N-word at people in South Africa, and like, it just didn't. It was here. Oh, it was? Oh, I didn't know that, Plank. Oh, never mind then. Okay, that's bad then. That's really bad.
Red flag laws, enhanced background checks. and we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence.
Yep.
And this idea that we should just live with it, here's what I do.
Chat, gun lobbies make it impossible to record data digitally. It has to be all by paper.
Hates it when these kids, it's abhorrent and it breaks your heart.
Also, it doesn't allow I think it's the FDA to do studies on mass shooting events as if they were like medical events.
That we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort?
Yep.
Is that what we have to go when we know?
Yep.
There's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them.
Dude, he's so good. He's so good at doing this shit.
You can still keep your
I
firearms.
want to take their guns though. I know, I agree.
We have to. If you're listening tonight, this breaks your heart.
Australia, after one mass shooting incident, literally had voluntarily and then involuntary guns surrendered, and they haven't had a mass shooting since then.
I do think it illustrates some of the frankly weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland. Is okay. First of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse or mental health substance abuse.
Okay. If we have mental health problems, then you should fund healthcare.
We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country.
So fund healthcare. Fund healthcare. Fund healthcare.
Reason why we have such a
fund
big gun
healthcare.
violence problem.
Fund
I think it's
healthcare.
a big piece of it.
Fund
Another
healthcare.
driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off
There
the streets.
are far more gun homicides per death. There are far more gun homicides per death in every red state compared to every blue city. Far more gun homicides per capita within red states than there is in blue cities. Ancient NRA diversion. Dudes were saying the same shit when Bush was in office. Yeah. The original Bush. Tim Walz looks like a nervous Labrador. Yeah. Also, chat. Hunting. Guns for hunting is not a bad thing. Okay? Guns for hunting is not a bad thing. Guns for hunting and guns for protecting livestock are not bad things. Those are normally semi-automatic, meaning it's easier to get more shots off in a shorter period of time to ensure the protection of your livestock and or to ensure a clean kill for the animal. But also they don't have like 30 to 40 round clips usually in them. If it was a buyback program, yeah, that's what I meant by the volunteer one. I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody brought their guns back, if I remember correctly, Plank. That's why I thought there might have been some involuntary programs where after the buyback program, they no longer there were some people that still had the guns, but I think I'm talking about out of my ass on that one.
I think there's a whole host of things that we can do here, but I do think at our schools we've got to talk about more security.
Senator, thank you.
No,
You previously
no. Literally every school shooting is ended by somebody that's unarmed. It's never ended by a fucking resource officer or police officers.
Become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a
Yeah,
long
nearly
time.
universal compliance. Yeah.
I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And
I live in Texas and used to go off-roading. It was a fun hobby. We'd drive out in the desert and just post up. We had to stop doing that because of stray bullets. Dudes chugging whiskey and shooting targets with no backdrop. Neighborhoods close by too. Yeah. No, that shit fucking happens all the time. Technically, school shooters stop the school shooters. You're right, Kiko, because technically school shooters usually unalive themselves. You're right. You're 100% right. Technically, school shooters are better at ending school shootings than fucking any police officers are. Put that one in the books.
several things I want to mention on this is talking about cities and where it's at. The number one, where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides.
Yeah, Uvalde cops sitting around waiting for more deaths. Yeah. So I wasn't a huge anti-cop person. I was a little anti-cop, and like cops fucking pissed me off, but I believe that there are still like cops that wanted to do the right thing. But once I saw Uvalde, that was it. I was done. I was like, every single cop in that precinct should never have a job again. And on top of that, every cop across the country should get fucking defunded and never get SWAT uniforms again, never get military equipment again. And they need to learn how to apprehend people without fucking shooting people, because most countries around the world literally do that. There's literally British videos constantly. There's literally British videos constantly showing cops bringing down people that have machetes and shit, using shields and batons and shit. And they don't even use the batons. They just use the shields and subdue them and apprehend them and then bring them to a hospital because they're having a mental health episode. But in the United States, we shoot first and then ask questions later, if we even ask questions.
Suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves.
Yep.
And so we have, and we
also, the United States has a high suicide rate because of guns, because our suicide attempts are far more successful because we use guns, and which is why the male suicide rate is extremely high, because they have access to guns.
We should look at all of the issues, making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And,
oh my God, the guns!
That you can do about it. But I do think that this is one.
Replace cops with nice grandmas.
I think there's a capacity to find.
Okay. I know Kiko's joking, but replacing cops with community leaders is actually a good thing. Community leaders trying to help others within their community is a good thing. Replace guns with chanclas. Is that a typo? Slippers? Sandals? Oh my God, yes. Replace them with sandals.
Solutions
a flip-flop? Oh my God, yes.
Protect Second Amendment, protect our children.
Yeah, but George W. Bush dodges those, though.
Thank you, Nora. Let's turn now to the top contributor to inflation, the high cost of housing and rent. There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States, and that contributes
to the high housing
crisis. Governor Walz, the Harris campaign promises a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and a 10.
Chat, that's still not even enough for a 20% down payment in most places. Like, I live in a very, very shitty fucking part of the country, and there are cardboard boxes going for $250,000. That would get me to 10% down payment. You related?
$10,000 tax credit. They also promise to build 3 million new homes. Where are you building these homes, and won't handing out that kind of money just drive up prices higher?
Oh my God, this is false.
First, let me say this issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this, the problem we've had is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity.
Ghost and I are related, yes.
It can be shipped.
We're not actually related. We're not actually related. We're just brothers. We're brothers.
And owned one house in my
His
life.
real name is
My mom still
Mukesh
lives
De
in
La
the house
Hoya.
where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass where you go with your family. We need to make it more affordable. And one of the things, as I said, this program that the vice president is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the
JD
federal
Vance's
level,
sons.
but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there, one of the, certainly for me, using the GI Bill was one thing, but a veteran's home loan, the big thing about a veteran's home loan is you don't have to pay the down payment. Those are things that make it there. Now, look, you're going to pay.
The down payment is the biggest obstacle to someone owning their own home and not paying landlords.
the generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we've put some of these things in, and we're implementing a state program to make sure we give some of that down payment assistance. We get it back from people because here's what we know.
Dude, he's so
people
good.
with staple housing end up with
His
stable
policies
jobs.
are so
people with
fucking
stable
good.
housing have their kids able to be able to get to school. All of those things in the long run end up saving our money.
I can't wait for JD Vance to fucking do
find
this.
some common ground in, but we can't blame immigrants for the only reason. That's not the case that's happening in many cities. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affording.
JD Vance is a chud married to a Desi woman. Yarati are the biggest chuds in India. I'm half Guju, so probably like fifth cousins. Wait, is his wife Yarati then? Honestly, ban Airbnbs and short-term rentals in general. We already had hotels empty. Short-term rentals outnumber the homeless in many cities. 50% vacancy rates. Yeah, no, you're correct. Banning Airbnbs would be 100% correct. Implementing a vacancy tax to a point where you would force people that own these houses and or properties, force them to fill the vacant homes or properties or pay a substantial tax. That's also a good plan. Guessing she's Guju. Oh, no, she's Telugu, South India. Flood the market with those empty houses. Yup. They would sell those houses so they didn't have to pay the vacancy tax rate. Also, many chuds there too, which is like a massive betrayal. Also, flooding the market with the empty houses would not fix the problem in the long run. We still need public housing. We still need public housing with all the amenities within the housing, like Austria. Austria has 60 or is it 80%? I just want to make sure I get this number right. Vienna. Vienna has a 75% public housing use. Internal courtyard means the apartment is filled with light. Probably won't stay here my whole life because while one room is enough for myself, it won't be if I have a family, but that's really the only reason I would want to move out. More than 60% of the city's 1.8 million inhabitants live in subsidized housing, and nearly half of the housing market is made up of city-owned flats or cooperative apartments. Yep. That's crazy. That's awesome. Social housing is great. They literally have every store they need right within walking distance. Walkable cities are the best. Also, many chuds there too, which is like massive betrayal. Yeah.
Affordable housing, but we can make sure that the government's there to help kickstart it, create that base.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, as far as your campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising, and what part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which
that's
does
blaming
drive
immigrants.
Up cost, Tim.
That's blaming immigrants, you fucking moron.
Competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we.
Okay. So now these immigrants are poor and they're getting paid less money, but they're also competing and buying out houses from Americans. And they're also lazy in collecting all of the welfare. Which is it? You said immigrants are taking up scarce housing? Yeah. Wait, what?
We have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of
if these people are low wage workers, how are they affording houses? And in the neighborhoods that they're moving to, how is the housing prices skyrocketing even though they're low wage earners? Make it make sense, chat. Make it fucking make sense.
Ideas. Now, some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with. But the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not sit around and campaign and do nothing while America.
Also, this is literally what the Kamala Harris volunteer phone banking people keep telling me is that she's vice president. She has no power to do anything. So you're literally saying that as vice president, you don't have the power to do anything. But Republicans are like, actually go do something as vice president. As vice president, you can do shit. You can pressure the president to fucking do shit. I've heard dudes brag about owning 10 Airbnbs and about owning 10 houses and wanting to buy more. Our hands are tied. Yeah, tell me about it. Fucking tell me about it. Also, dust to not. Those people, you know, maybe they have an accident. Maybe a tree just so happens to fall in an area they may or may not be standing. I don't know. It happened to the Texas governor. The tree didn't finish the job, though.
Americans find the American dream.
Oh, shit. Why did that get big? That shouldn't have gotten that big. I did that.
Of homeownership completely unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation?
Yeah, that doesn't work. We still have Abbott. That's what I'm saying. The tree didn't finish the job. I'm a big fan of trees that finish the job.
For American citizens, if you lower energy prices, as Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill, one of the biggest drivers of housing costs aside from illegal immigration is, think about it. If a truck driver is paying 40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in
Dude, literally their entire argument is to say, hey, we need to drill as much oil as possible. We need to open more lands to the oil companies and let them drill as much as possible, despite the fact that literally most of the land that we have open to the oil companies are not drilling in right now. So why would we give them more fucking land if they're not drilling in the current lands that we've given them? If a tree falls in the forest on top of Greg Abbott and no one is around to hear it, would anyone care? We produce more oil in Saudi Arabia, and now gas prices never went down. Correct. That's because our gas prices are controlled by private corporations, and our private corporation prices are controlled by OPEC plus, because our private corporations will never give us lower prices compared to OPEC plus, because that would mean that they don't make as much profit. Also, what we should do is stop subsidizing every oil company, because currently we are subsidizing the living shit out of oil extraction. And that's padding the pockets of oil corporations and everything.
And a whole host of other economic goods, too.
Senator Vance, you still have 23 seconds there. Do you want to answer?
Can I have it?
Where, Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But, Senator, where are you going to seize the federal lands? Can you clarify?
Well, what Donald Trump has said is we have a lot of federal lands that aren't being used for anything. They're not being used for national park. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing. And I do think that we should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be.
He's talking about opening up He's talking about opening up building to private real estate companies, not to fucking government programs building housing.
American citizens who deserve to be here.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, I do want to let you respond.
Wait, American citizens deserve to be here, but all other people don't deserve to be here? The people that literally built this fucking country?
True, and again, you have the facts. I guess we agreed not to fact check. I'll check it. That, look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's, again, blaming and not trying to find the solution. I was going to ask, though, on this question, are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of federal lands. I know in the western part of the countries we do. There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue unless we see this, and I worry about this as someone who cares deeply about our national parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things. We've got about 20% of the world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason. They belong to all of us. But again, this is when you view housing and you view these things as commodities. That
Yep.
gives a chance to make money here. Let's
Yep.
take this federal land and
Yep.
let's sell it to people for that. I think there's
Pre-watch.
other ways to do
Pre-watch.
this. We've seen it in Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people in. And I'm still on the fact on this. Economists, Senator Vance, you said you don't like the economists. Which economists are saying that it is immigrants that's adding to the cost?
Governor,
Where's the
your
study?
time is up. But Senator, on that point, I'd like for you to clarify. There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased levels of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire driver of higher housing prices. It's also the regulatory regime.
CBS was weird as fuck about fact checking. Yeah, I guarantee they're weird as fuck about fact checking because the Vance campaign absolutely refused to have them fact check.
Of Kamala Harris. Look, we are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But we increasingly have a federal administration that makes it harder to develop our resources, makes it harder to build things, and wants to throw people in jail for not doing everything exactly as Kamala Harris
You think JD Vance can use chopsticks? Probably
and
not.
What that means is that you have a lot of people who would love to build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim Walz. We should get out of this idea of housing as a commodity, but the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works. If you're literally giving it away, how does something become a commodity if you're giving it away? That doesn't make any sense. When something is a commodity, it has price because of scarcity. It's literally because of scarcity. It has a price. It is a commodity because of scarcity. It increases in prices because of scarcity. If you're giving shit away, how does it become scarce and become a commodity? That doesn't make any fucking sense. These people are so fucking stupid.
Legal right to be here.
He's strictly
for
for
federal regulations. I deal with this as
He's
a governor.
actually a sport guy.
You can very quickly reply.
I'm sorry. I get this as a governor, and I don't necessarily disagree with that in some cases, many of those are local, many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice
he's 100% a
president's not
sporker?
responsible
Yeah.
for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank
Except he
you,
doesn't
gentlemen.
spork his wife.
We have a lot to get through. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell. But Nora?
Thank you. One of the top problems facing Americans is the high cost of health care. Senator Vance, at the last presidential debate...
Speaking of high cost of healthcare, I got a letter from my healthcare, my health insurance provider, and my healthcare premium is going to be going up $60 a month next year. Woo! Love it. It's awesome. I love it.
President Trump was asked about replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response, he said, I have concepts of a plan. Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions won't pay more? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, of course, we're going to cover Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care. I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people
How
have
does that make
criticized
sense?
this concepts of a plan.
Wait. How did they switch off from Medicaid to private health insurance? Maybe it's all the amount of money that you got from fucking Peter Thiel and being Peter Thiel's blood boy. I just realized I haven't seen a spork in 8 years.
Mark, look, it's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress, you're not going to propose a 900-page bill standing on a debate stage. It would bore everybody to tears, and it wouldn't actually mean anything because part of this is the give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president, and again, he has a record to be proud of, prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. Think about healthcare. You go into a hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows.
Didn't the Biden administration enforce the pricing transparency? We've been trying to give people healthcare since Obama's first term in 2024. Health insurance jobs are taking over call centers. We've also been trying to give people healthcare since early 1900s. Nationalize that shit already? I know. Yeah, I know. I agree with you, Dustin. We've been trying to have a nationalized healthcare system since the 19-teens. Woodrow Wilson tried to implement one. I believe Nixon also tried to implement one. But we've been trying to have a nationalized healthcare on the books for literally a century at this point. I agree. Nationalize it. Fucking nationalize everything. Fuck them. Fuck them. Don't care. Well, what about the jobs? Well, those jobs that those people are in, we can then use those for people in, in the government to take care of the nationalized healthcare system.
What it actually costs, that price transparency will.
Also, Obama fucking sucks. Obama had a chance. He had literally a supermajority in the Senate. Supermajority in the Senate and a majority in the House, and could have implemented any fucking policy he wanted. But he wanted it to be bipartisan, so he took a right-wing fucking healthcare bill from Mitt Romney in Massachusetts, and he still couldn't make it bipartisan. And then Ted Kennedy fucking died, and then they needed to beg Republicans, and it just stripped everything. It was bullshit. Now we're talking about sporks in our studio. You're welcome, Kiko.
Actually give American consumers a little bit more choice, and will also drive down costs. And we talked about, the reinsurance regulations is what I was talking about. Look, Donald Trump has said that if we allow states to experiment a little bit on how to cover both the chronically ill but the non-chronically ill, it's not just a plan. He actually implemented some of these regulations when he was president of the United States. And I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along.
No, it wasn't, which is why people fucking fought for it when he was trying to get rid of it. Yeah, Obamacare is not fucking great, but it's better than nothing, because that's what Trump's going to provide.
Regulatory burden and healthcare
It's blowing our Japanese coworkers' minds. Wait, your Japanese coworkers don't know what a spork is?
In a bipartisan way to ensure that
What about the spork that has a knife on the side too? Did you blow their minds with that one?
had access to affordable care. It's not perfect, of course, and there's so much more that we can do, but I think that Donald
nationalize
Trump has
it, baby.
earned the right to put in place some better healthcare policies. He's earned it.
The spork is a very Western thing. Yeah.
Governor?
All right, here's where being an old guy gives you some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare. And so what I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to. Go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill.
Dude, now, stop blowing John McCain. He sucked.
You lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare.
Yep.
We have 10 drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue...
Except it's like 5 years from now when that shit happens.
I've got a concept of a plan. It cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept, because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Chat, this is why insurance works, because the healthy people subsidize the people that are sick. And then when those healthy people become sick, there's more healthy people that then subsidize their services. If you do it with everybody, the bigger pool you make, the cheaper everything becomes.
In place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened, and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight, is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges. Donald Trump actually
the health insurance marketplace, yeah, it's fucking horrible. That's the current insurance that I have.
People's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality, Donald Trump was president. Inflation was low. Take-home pay was higher. And he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent.
Technically, take-home pay was higher. But the only reason take-home pay isn't higher now because of greedflation.
About problems, but actually solve them.
Governor, did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people or whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then what happens is...
So you think the individual mandate's a good idea?
You shrink. I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look,
dude,
people know
as a solid fucking talking point.
People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Which is why we should slowly decrease the age to qualify for fucking Medicare. And then eventually lead up to Medicare for all.
There is a child care crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few developed countries in the world without a national paid leave program for new parents. Governor Walz, you've said that if Democrats win both the White House and Congress, this is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their newborns? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's negotiable.
6 months.
And that's what Congress worked. But here's what the deal is. Americans sitting out there right now, you may work for a big company. Look, we're home in Minnesota.
Should be like 1 year, actually.
Companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy.
That's not why they fucking provide it. They're providing it because employees are fucking demanding it, because employees realize that they're creating fucking value and that they're demanding better benefits.
What we know is that gets the child off to a better start, the family works better, we stay in their employers, we get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota.
There are better results when parents stay home early in a child's life.
Issue. Those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some places, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those tax breaks to the wealthiest. He's willing to say, bust those unions up, do whatever. What we're saying is the economy works best when it works for all of us. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you
God,
support
he's so
a
good.
national paid leave program? And
He
if
should be running
so,
for president instead of Kamala.
For how long should employers be mandated to pay their employees while they are home taking care of their newborn? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, first of all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some Democrats, too, have worked on this issue. And I think there is a bipartisan solution here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I speak from this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant.
Oh, I'm married to a beautiful woman that also has beautiful kids, which means what I say is not going to come off as like demon-like or anything like that.
My wife is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company, but the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time.
Also, if you make mandated paid family leave to every company where the federal government pays for this money, it helps small businesses to continue to compete with big businesses. Why would you not want to do that? And guess what? She's brown. Yeah. She's Indian too. And fucking who is the racist that fucking said like the White House is gonna smell like Indian cuisine? Like that was a bad thing? Was it fucking Laura Loomer? Yeah. Fucking Laura Loomer doing some racist screed about fucking Indian food. That's it's crazy.
Time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have that support paid family leave.
Oh my God, someone said that? Yeah, fucking Laura Loomer said that. Laura Loomer said that.
Right now, the community development block grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only go to one kind of childcare model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with childcare. Maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area and you'd like to get together with families in your.
Wait, why would you want your church to help you with childcare? Don't churches have a lot of child predations? Why would you want that? That's crazy. Also, he's saying churches and shit because he wants the churches to fucking propagandize the kids, just like I propagandize you guys at the top of the hour, because at the top of every hour I run a 3-minute ad. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription, or you can get lucky and get gifted a sub, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription from Daddy Bezos to your favorite streamer. Hopefully that's me. If it's not me, hopefully it's Kiko. But if you don't get a subscription that way, then you get stuck behind the 3-minute ad break. Chat, while the 3-minute ad break is going, I'm going to fill up my water, and I'm hoping that you're not going to miss much, but I will be right back. I'm going to put on some tunage. I'm sure Keko will throw on some shout outs for you guys to keep you entertained, but I'll be right back.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. Another one? Lemons, I guess, is continuing the gifted sub. Wait, did you give one to Jacob then? Or no, Jacob subscribed. Who did you, Lemons, I guess. Thank you so much. Who did you pass that on to? Wait, hold on. Another one?
Wait, is it foggy? You fuck. Oh, okay.
Eat it.
I'm not sure you can eat it.
Why is it still bleeding?
See?
I work. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy how. You know, I watch my own VODs, and you would think like, oh, I'd see it and be like, oh, why did I say that? No, I watch my VODs and I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Look at you go. Look at you.
Don't care. Kiko, I was going to give you a fucking shout out. I was going to give you a shout out. Thank you, Kiko, for giving shout outs to people. We got about 15 seconds. 15 seconds to get through the ad. But thank you so much, Kiko, for giving shout outs to friends of the stream. I'm going to give you another shout out, my friend. I'm going to give you another one. Only because I love you so much.
It's city plus America.
New York plus Bush. 9/11! I got 9/11! I got 9/11! I got 9/11! We did 9/11! We did 9/11! No! Don't clip that! Don't clip that! Do not clip that! Do not clip that!
Oh, that clip is great every time. It's so good every time. All right, right back to it.
In your neighborhood to provide childcare in the way that makes the most sense. You don't get access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote childcare. Because look,
so the reason they're providing choice is the same reason that they're trying to do school choices, because they want to segregate. They want to segregate children. I was heating up food, but I heard it. Yeah, they want to segregate children. And that's what's happening with the school choice is they want white parents to be able to choose to not allow their kids to go to schools that have black people in it. That's literally why they're doing it. That's why after Board versus Education happened, that's why they've been pushing so hard with these school vouchers and everything. This is what they're doing with the childcare shit. They're trying to fucking segregate everything and make the choice to continue to make money off this shit, because that's what's happening with fucking charter schools and everything.
it is unacceptable. And, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options. Like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids.
Well,
that is an incredible burden
not
to
what I
put
meant
on
by
American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Senator, thank you. You have also said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month. So I want to get your thoughts on this. President Trump recently said,
all them Latino students eating all the hot Cheetos.
Expensive. It's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. Is President Trump committed to the $5,000 per child tax credit that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country.
Yeah,
and undercut the
I'm sure that you're definitely going to punish companies that you have stocks in. That your share prices go up the more that they fucking bring in slave labor.
of America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas.
The Chuds regular Cheetos are hot Cheetos.
And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, childcare options that are viable and.
Chat, when conservatives come in and tell you that they're going to cut taxes and be with those cut taxes, there's going to be increased economic growth, they're lying. The only time that has ever happened is the only time that taxes getting cut has increased the GDP. The only time that taxes have been cut and the tax revenue has increased was during the Great Depression. Actually, it was Roaring 20s, so it was prior to the Great Depression. That's because it's well documented by historians that that companies stopped hiding as much revenue as they used to. And that's why there was an increase in tax revenue. But they continue to fucking cite this, despite the fact that literally every other tax cut, tax revenue has not gone up, and there hasn't been economic growth from tax cuts. There's been spikes in economic growth with tax cuts, but then there is tremendous crashes in the economy. If you look at the Great Depression, if you look at 2008, those all happened after tremendous tax cuts. Also, the COVID stock market crash, even though that was only like a week. But we're probably due for another stock market crash. So maybe I'll be able to afford a home after the next stock market crash.
Workable for a lot of American families.
Can you clarify how that will solve the child care shortage?
Well, because as Tim said, a lot of the child care shortage is we just don't have enough resources going into the multiple people who could be providing family care options. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, look, we're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for American families, because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, your ticket also has some child care tax credit proposals. Do you think Congress will agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit for children over the age of 6, as your campaign has promised? Is that realistic?
Yippee, economic collapse. Yeah, Jade Argo, that's literally the only way I'm ever going to be able to afford anything, is getting to it when things are down. Except I'm probably not going to have enough money at the time to actually take advantage of it.
Well, if these members of Congress are listening to anybody, I can tell you, and this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's $5,000 or $6,000, that pays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarships types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case. But the issue here is, the question you asked is, you're not going to pay for it.
JD Vance married a Desi woman only because her bindi reminds him of a laser sight on a rifle. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Get the money to pay for that.
Sludge hands, JR.
$4,000 in the hole. That's Wharton School. That's his alma mater. And so I think the issue here is, if those members of Congress, I can't believe they're not. When I go to businesses, sure, they'll talk about taxes sometime, but they will lead with childcare and they will lead with housing, because we know the problem is, especially in a state like Minnesota, we need more workers because our economy's growing, but we need the workforce.
Governor, thank you. We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy and inflation. After the 2020 election, President Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results. Judges, including those appointed by President Trump and other Republican presidents, looked at the evidence and said there was no widespread fraud. The governors of every state in the nation, Republicans and Democrats, certified the 2020 election results and sent a legal slate of electors to Congress for January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election.
What?
And would have asked the states to submit alternative electors.
This is a great question.
That has been called unconstitutional
This is a great question.
and illegal. Would you again
Oh, yeah, I heard
seek to
about this moment on
challenge
NPR.
this year's election
This is a great
results
question.
even if every governor certifies the results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies, make housing affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question because you did ask it. Look, what
I mean, technically he admitted Trump lost when he said that Kamala Harris has been in office for the last 3.5 years. I just want to point that out. Somebody should point that out.
President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald Trump has said. Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House. And now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology.
Say he lost, you idiot. Just say he lost.
Companies silencing their fellow citizens, and it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen.
You should be censoring people for misinformation.
40 years.
What?
Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong
Jesus
leaders
Christ.
in the Democratic
Are you
coalition.
fucking
Of course,
kidding me?
They don't agree with me and Donald
JD
Trump
calls
on every
his wife
issue.
Kamala.
We don't agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences.
Literally, someone that had brainworms. He's bragging about the endorsement of someone that had brainworms and also someone that's literally a Russian asset.
She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues, and that to me is a much bigger threat to democracy.
Also, I might make a short
said
clip about
when he said that
Donald Trump
should
getting
peacefully protest on
endorsed by
January 6th.
RFK Jr. and then he had brainworms.
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here. And I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator.
Me too, man.
There's one though that this one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell
A
the
worm?
story.
Yeah.
Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this.
RFK Jr. had a brainworm and it died in his head.
I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't.
Wait, Jay, did you not know this?
Officers were beaten at the Capitol that day. Some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police.
Of course I know this.
That
Okay, just
issue,
making sure, Jay
and Mike
Darko.
Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win.
You said you were going to make a video?
Democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake hands.
I said, oh, word? It says weren't. But it's a funny word. Oh, I got it. I got you now, JD.
The thing I'm most concerned about
My brain is rotted from this
the
debate.
idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later.
Just regular worms, though. You want to make a video on just worms, JD?
That when this is
or Kiko?
over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner.
Is it double mean because it was about RFK brainworms?
Margaret?
When Ghost goes off cam, he's scooting around the carpet like a puppy.
First of
Yeah.
all,
Because I have a
it's
butt
really
itch.
rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this
He
country.
didn't give
We're
it
going to
over
shake hands
peacefully.
after this
Did
debate and
January
after
6th
this
not
election.
happen?
Of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll
Like
have my
starfish
prayers, he'll have
surfing?
my best
I'm
wishes,
crying
he'll have my
laughing at
help
that image.
whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats he won vice president. He'll have my prayers. He'll have my best that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by Vladimir Putin because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election, I'm on board. But if we want to say, as Tim Walz is saying, that this is just a problem,
As someone who has read the Mueller report,
I don't buy that.
Russia did a lot of shit.
Governor.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't understand how we got to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance, I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement, but this is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Thank you.
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it.
Reminds me of that XQC clip. Yeah. I kind of was thinking about that once we said the worm, because, once you do the worm, you immediately win the debate. Everybody knows that.
I'm happy to talk about it further, but you guys attack us for not believing in democracy, the most sacred right under the United.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, you talking about this clip?
Naming people that are like sex offenders and out there racist and fucking fucking people that promote harm and shit. Yo, that's not canceled. That's the law. That's the fucking law. When you do a crime, you go to jail. You're not canceled. You're a criminal.
PM.
It's the most based XQC has ever been. That's the most based SQC has ever been. I forgot about that one. But there's an XQC one where he was debating H3H3.
What the fuck are you gonna do all day?
This
Sit there
one
and
here.
gamble? Nobody's gonna watch that shit. Nobody's gonna watch this shit already. They don't care about you even having arguments. Clearly, you're not very good at that. You lost 12 viewers, man. My views are very good.
I'm a referee.
Like a therapist.
I'm a referee.
Give us a hint on when the tantrum ends. When does it end, Ethan? It seems like when you go on these tangents, you go on a rampage and you just ramble and ramble without making any concise point or a question. Is it you're done with that shit? Can we talk like adults now or not?
I think this conversation has kind of been exhausted.
People would rather watch me full screen cam do the fucking worm than watch your
Do
prime
that.
than watch
Bro,
your prime
do
content.
it for a week. Do a week of no reaction content and see how many fucking views you get. Oh, he's crying in the corner. Okay, sure.
He's doing the worm.
I mean, that's content, man. It's original content.
That's
at
a
least.
great debate
Yes,
tactic.
do that, bro. Do it.
You like that,
That was
bitch ass?
sick, dude.
I
Dude,
bet you
do
fucking
it
love
week.
it, man. If this
You
is
just
all
grab his
you've done
nuts?
in the
Yes,
past fucking
great.
4 years, bitch.
It's awesome. Do a week of no react of what you care about.
Is that the worm I was thinking
how
of?
you
I
feel
know.
about
He did
taking
like the
people's
inch
videos.
worm.
I think it was illuminating. I think we had a really good conversation.
Oh my god, it's over.
Yeah.
Bro,
I mean, I don't think you have anything else
Yeah,
interesting.
I thought that was the XQC. I thought that was the XQC clip you're talking about. I thought it was the Bieber worm.
United States
I got
democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the
threatening or
power
hate
of
speech.
government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade.
Just went to the loo for 5 minutes. What's new? Well, JD Vance was asked point blank from Walz if Trump lost the 2020 election, and he completely didn't answer at all and just completely pivoted everything to, isn't it Lou? Yeah, that's what I thought. And he just completely pivoted everything.
Persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together.
You fire in a crowded theater.
Yep.
That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't
Senator,
wear
the governor
masks.
does
That's
have the
not
floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is
No,
the
it's
right
not.
of every American.
Senator, the governor does have
No,
the
it's
floor
not.
for 1 minute to
Please.
respond. to
Literally the fucking people are claiming that it's killing toddlers. It's not.
Is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen. We will be right back with both of our candidates. The CBS News vice presidential debate continues.
Yapping. Yep. They're yapping. Also, I don't think that's actual the banners out there. I think it's CGI'd.
Welcome back to the CBS News vice presidential debate. It is now time for the closing statement. Senator Vance won the virtual coin toss and elected to go last. So Governor Walz,
Virtual
you
coin
are
toss.
First, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Senator Vance. Thank you to CBS News. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support of the democracy matters. It matters.
Dancing with Our Stars.
And I'm
He
as
is like
surprised as
your
anybody
old
of
rad
this
uncle.
coalition that Kamala Harris has built, from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift.
Oh,
and a
stop
whole bunch of
bragging about
folks in
Dick
between
Cheney.
there. And they don't all agree on everything.
Stop
but they
bragging
are
about Dick
truly
Cheney.
Optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country, and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you,
Dick
that,
Cheney's so cool.
that
What,
better
Kiko?
than it is the sense
Guys,
of
he gets me.
optimism that there can be an
You talking about Dick Cheney or Tim Walz?
economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris
Walz
gives us a
plays
different
Fortnite?
option.
I
now,
doubt
I have
that.
to tell you,
I highly
I'm
doubt
gonna
that.
be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voice.
Politics of joy, but enabling a fucking genocide happening. What about the joy of Palestinians? What about the joy of the Lebanese? What about the joy of them, huh? Are they allowed to be joyful? Or are we just going to continue to keep handing weapons to Israel and allow Israel to fucking eviscerate civilian populations?
Voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive. I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
Governor Walz, thank you. Senator Vance, your closing statement.
Well, I want to thank Governor Walz, you folks at CBS, and of course the American people for tuning in this evening. And one of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights because Ohio gets pretty cold at night and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods. You ought to not have your communities flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten
cool. Except your policies don't fucking help any of that.
Policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing and to tell me they're praying for my family. What that has taught me is that we have the greatest country, the most beautiful country, the most incredible people anywhere in the world. But they're not going to be able to achieve their full dreams with the broken leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live.
What? It's just been a word fucking salad of a bunch of corporate buzzwords. He hasn't said anything. He literally hasn't said anything. He's just said, oh yeah, according to our policy, the people are definitely going to be able to afford houses and afford food and shit. But he hasn't said anything about his actual fucking policies this entire fucking debate because they don't have any policy.
Their American dream if we do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 3.5 years. We need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well. Please vote for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this and I'm rooting for you. God bless you and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you. And thank you both for participating in the only vice presidential debate of this election cycle. I'm Margaret.
Fact check QR code on screen. Probably doesn't work anymore. Let me try it. Oh, okay. Okay, this is actually pretty good. It's probably not 100% correct, but it's pretty good. There, I'll bring it up. Chat. But chat, that's it. That's it from the fucking VP debate. My brain is fucking melted. I think you need their app. Oh, I got it. Pillow talk for JD is literally talking to the couch pillows after sex. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, let's bring up this fact check. Let's bring up the fact check here. Let's see how CBS did. Also, they 100% did this to generate clicks to their website. 100%. 100%. All right. So misleading, Vance claims Trump peacefully gave over power on January 20th. I just realized that I haven't changed the scene yet. I think you need the app. No, it brought me to a web page. Does to not. All right. Misleading, Vance claims Trump peacefully gave over power on January 20th. Details: President Biden was sworn into office on January 20th, 2021, and assuming the office of the presidency from former President Donald Trump. However, before Biden's inauguration day, pro-Trump protesters participating in violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th. In the weeks leading up to the joint session, Trump pressured then Vice President Mike Pence, who presided over the certification of the results. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows about January 6th. False. Needs context. Vance says Iran received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to Harris. That's not true. It was $300 billion, and it was unfrozen assets. That was because it was literally a fucking oil payment from South Korea. Details. The Iran nuclear deal, known as the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, was negotiated in 2015, not during the Biden administration. The $100 billion figure mentioned by Vance refers to the potential sanctions relief, the unfreezing of Iranian assets, if Iran completed key nuclear steps under the JCPOA. Because the deal fell apart, assets are currently frozen. Additionally, the White House archives cite the U.S. Treasury Department estimate at a little over $50 billion. What? That's not even the fucking right money that they're talking about. I am literally an unintelligent person. I'm literally an unintelligent person, and I know more about this shit than fucking journalists. Oh, this is so fucking frustrating. Like, what the fuck? False. Vance says Trump could have destroyed Obamacare. No, he couldn't. John McCain made sure of that. Trump ended subsidies paid to insurers in a bid to force Democrats to the bargain table over repeal and replace, and predicted the law would be dead next month if it doesn't get the money. Contrary to expectations, stopping the subsidies ended up in plans with free premiums that buoyed enrollment totals, though they fell short of restoring the decrease that happened during the term. Misleading. Vance claims DHS has effectively lost 320,000 children. We talked about this earlier in stream. 291,000 unaccompanied children were not served papers to appear in court. 32,000 unaccompanied children did not show up to their immigration court hearing. So just because 290,000 were not served their court papers doesn't mean that they don't know where they are. True. Needs context. Walz claims border crossings down compared to when Donald Trump left office. Monthly migrant apprehensions at the southern border. Yep, down here. 58,000, which is lower than when Trump was in office. False. Vance says Vice President Harris became the appointed border czar. She was. They literally used the term border czar. Vice President Kamala Harris was not asked to be administration's border czar to oversee immigration policy and enforcement in the U.S.-Mexico border. That has mainly been the responsibility of Homeland Security. Yes, that is true. But they literally used the term border czar for Kamala Harris. In reality, the only role close to that of border czar under the Biden administration was held for only a few months by Roberta Jacobson. Jesus fucking Christ. She was literally referred to as the border czar. Partially true. Needs context. Vance claims housing unaffordable because millions of illegal immigrants compete with Americans for scarce homes. No, not true. Partially true. It's not partially true. It's one factor fueling housing demand. No. However, the housing shortage in the U.S. of an estimated 1.5 to 7 million housing units has been a long-standing issue since the Great Recession, when the number of homes being built plummeted. Fewer new homes were built in 10 years, ending in 2018, than any decade since the 1970s, according to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Also true. Walz claims when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops, they received traumatic brain injuries. Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Yes, Donald Trump said that. False. Walz claimed he was in China during the Tiananmen Square protest. 2014, then Reps Walz said he was in mainland China during the Tiananmen Square protest between April and June 1989 during a congressional hearing to mark 25 years since the massacre. According to the congressional transcript, Walz said, as the events were unfolding, several of us went in. I still remember the train station in Hong Kong. Minnesota Public Radio first reported Walz exaggerated claims. Walz would be leaving for China in August 1989. An Alliance Times Herald News report from May 1989 shows then Staff Sergeant Walz toured a Nebraska Army National Guard armory. The local news radio station also reported that in another Nebraska newspaper in August 1989 said he would leave Sunday en route to China. Minnesota Governor Walz has made several educational trips to China dating back to the late 1980s. Walz claimed to have traveled to China about 30 times, but his campaign admitted Minnesota Public Radio was closer to 15. It'd be funny if he was in Japan, but just called all of East Asia China. Jesus Christ. Also, I'm pretty sure the democracy protests in China lasted all summer. Also, chat. Question in reference to rules. What's bad faith chatter? Don't make bad faith comments. Actually come in here asking questions, wanting to learn. That's what a bad faith chatter is. Also, we can tell who bad faith chatters are. No, this is someone from Dairy's stream. I doubt they're going to be bad faith. Dairy and Jake and everything. So so we've talked about the Tiananmen Square protests, and we talked about that guy in front of the tank. Kiko, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the person that was standing in front of that tank was actually whisked away. That person wasn't killed. Oh no, I asked a dumb question and I just wasn't sure what bad faith meant. Yeah, it basically means anybody in here that comes in here and says, just curious, and then says like the dumbest shit ever. Or basically derails the stream by having like a circular argument with me. Then we ban them after we embarrass them. But yeah, that's basically what it is, James. We just don't want people derailing the stream with bad faith talking points. Hecklers, kind of. Yeah, heckler's not really the right term, but it's literally like coming in with like, I hate people who act like that. Yeah, we do too. But it is fun to dunk on them, which I do pretty often. James, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I guess the protest probably didn't continue after Tiananmen Square, but I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I was assuming that there's still some protests going on in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong was still separate from China at the time. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Walz claims former Trump White House Chief of Staff John Kelly called Trump the most flawed human being he ever met. Walz claims Vance has in the past, and there's a climate problem. Yep. Partially true. Walz claims patients had to pay $800 for insulin. Yeah, you notice a lot of the shit that Walz says, they're saying that it's true. Trump hasn't paid taxes in 15 years. That's not what he said. He said 10 of the last 15 fucking years. Fucking idiots. In 2022, New York Times article reported that he had paid no income taxes in 10 of the last 15 years. That's literally what Tim Walz fucking said. He didn't say he didn't spend zero taxes in the last 15 years. He literally said 10 of the last 15 fucking years. Speaking of climate, it feels like it's been hotter than usual this year. Well, James, I hate to break it to you, but it has literally been hotter than previous. It's been hotter this year than previous years for like the last 10 years. The year 2023 was the warmest year since global records began in 1850. At 1.18 degrees Fahrenheit, 2.12 degrees Fahrenheit, above the 20th century average of 13.9, 57 degrees. This value is 15, blah, blah, blah. Of note, the year, which was the first year to set the new global temperature record in the 21st century, now it is the 12th warmest year on record. The year 2010, which has surpassed 2005 at the time, now ranks the 11th warmest year. Map shows the 2023 temperatures compared to the 1991 to 2020 average. Unlike the previous 2 years, which were squarely entrenched in a cold phase of El Nino, yada, yada, yada. But basically, like 8 of the last 10 years have been like the warmest years on record. So yes, it has been warmer, technically, every year than normal. And also the Gulf of Mexico is like hotter than it's ever been, which is why hurricanes continue to fucking eviscerate Southeast United States. False Vance claims on prescription drugs are up 7% under Biden, but under Trump, they went up just 1.5%. Details of the latest figures from the Agency of the Healthcare Research and Quality Survey shows it's an increase of 11%. By the same metric, it was 9%. Okay. Vance claims Harris has not invested in clean air, clean water, or climate policy. Hard to believe that's false as well. Walz claimed the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history, so 30% decrease. Yeah, so most of what Walz said is either true or partially true. And then most of what Vance said is a lie. Hard to fucking believe. But anyway, chat, we got through it. We got through it. Thank y'all for being here. I have to work 36 holes tomorrow. So if I stream tomorrow, it's going to be a bonus stream. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen. I will do my best because I really do enjoy streaming. This reacting to the vice presidential debate, it melted my brain. But it is shit that I'm passionate about and shit that I know a lot about. And I know a lot of this stuff off the top of my head. And I confirm that when I look up the sources of it with you all. But yeah, chat, check out my YouTube channel. Check out my latest video on a bad faith talking point. You vote? Yes, I will be voting. I will be voting because voting for local elections is far more important than federal elections. So at a minimum, I will be voting for my local elections. I don't know what I'm doing for presidential elections yet, but I am not in a swing state. So my vote for the presidential election basically doesn't matter. So I highly encourage everybody to register to vote and make sure that you vote for your local elections. For the presidential election, vote your conscience. I am having a hard time voting for anybody that supports a genocide because I would like to be on the correct side of history on a genocide. But anyway, that's going to be it from me tonight. I hope you all were entertained from my reaction to the vice presidential debates, as well as I hope you all learned something. I hope I was able to help you learn something and learn about the facts and learn the correct talking points to push back on the shitty talking points that come out of this stuff. But like I said, check out my YouTube channel. Check out my latest video on bad faith talking points. I'm hoping to get one bad faith talking point video uploaded every week leading up to the election, but I can't guarantee it. I'm going to do my best though. With that being said, we are going to raid out. We are going to go to friend of the stream, Gary, who is playing Dead by Daylight. I think she's playing with a couple other people. So yeah, that's all from me. And like I said, tomorrow, I will try to go live, but I can't guarantee that's going to happen because I will be working 36 holes. GG's, thanks for the stream, Ghost. No problem, Jake. Hope you were entertained. Anyway, those are the raid messages. First one are for those that are not subbed. The second one are for those that are subbed. Thank you all for being here. I got to tell you all the truth. You guys are the only reason I'm here. But thank you all so much. So with that being said, that's it for me tonight. So wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night. See y'all later.